It was just another crowded subway ride, until my Bluetooth accidentally connected to a stranger's device. What followed was a warm and sweet love story that had me blushing and rolling in bed as I listened. I linked to a stranger's Bluetooth on the metro. My earbuds had connected to the same stranger's phone via Bluetooth twice now. Both times happened exactly a week apart, around the same morning rush hour. It stuck in my memory because during the first accidental connection, their playlist surprisingly had 3 songs identical to mine. Clearly, it had exceptional musical taste, just like me. Forgive me for calling this person it, because I genuinely had no clue whether it was a he or a she. However, today, unbelievably, we crossed paths again. The first time, I was so amazed and captivated by the music that I didn't even realize they had disconnected mid-journey, probably stepping out of range. Once I arrived at the office, I puzzled over it. Did the owner not notice their own earbuds had no sound? Or perhaps, was this intentional? Did they deliberately share their music with me? What startled me today was that the moment they realized my earbuds belonged to the same person, they immediately played the song second time. That's when I sensed something, suddenly flustered and glancing around nervously. As if fearing I might disconnect, the song quickly switched to Please Don't Go. A dozen seconds later, Adele's Hello came on. My face inexplicably heated up. The stranger was literally greeting me through songs. Shortly afterward, the music shifted again. This was one I'd never heard before. A female vocalist with a lazy, alluring tone and ambiguous lyrics. Guessing games get crazy, caught up in the Daily Boy. You got me craving if my cheeks turn red. Would you lend me your dress shirt? Judging by these lyrics, I guess this must be a bold and playful girl. With such aligned tastes, maybe we could even be friends. I couldn't afford to stay passive any longer, so I quickly stood up from my seat. A mother in front of me, thinking I was about to get off, anxiously pushed her daughter forward to claim my spot. But I wasn't at my office station yet. I stood to broaden my view, scanning every passenger using a phone within 5 meters. The result was disappointing. About 3/4 of passengers were staring at their phones, each trapped in their own invisible social box. I couldn't identify this person at all. After futilely scanning the crowd, the song in my earbuds had already changed to Gem. It's goodbye. They were saying goodbye. They must be about to get off. Damn. As the announcement chimed overhead, I pressed my lips together, unable to shake off the regret. In a city with millions, commuting daily like tides ebbing and flowing, the odds of encountering the same person again were unbelievably slim. Fine, I decided, even if it made me late to work. Gripping my phone, I quickly stepped off the train with the crowd, my eyes restlessly scanning for clues. People streamed around me, making it a needle in a haystack search. After walking aimlessly for a short while, the music in my earbuds abruptly vanished. Disconnected? My heart sank instantly. Just as I reached up to remove my earbuds, a male voice filled my ears, as fresh as morning dew falling into chaotic sands. Hello? He said tentatively, his voice youthful and pleasant. You still there? Why are you still connected to my phone? I couldn't reply. We were separated by different dimensions, different planets, and it turned out to be a guy. Who knows how flushed my face was at this embarrassing realization. I'd literally chased him off the train, searching around like a headless chicken. You probably can hear my voice message, right? Okay, I'm talking to myself, recording this specifically for you. Are you listening? He chuckled softly, seemingly amused by his own strange behavior. Forget it, I don't even know if you can hear me. But if you do, don't move or we'll disconnect. Immediately, I froze, barely daring to breathe, my pulse racing from the unexpected scenario. Don't move, he reminded again. Take out your phone, open your notes and write this down. It's my number, and you can find my WeChat with it. A smile rapidly spread across my face, overwhelming me with bright peach-colored joy. Everything around me seemed to quiet down, leaving only his voice and the rapid beating of my heart. Chunwen ChatGPT. I never expected to establish contact in such a dramatic way. Yet, I had to admit, if I hadn't customized my earbuds name earlier by adding a candy emoji before the default model, the guy probably wouldn't have recognized me this quickly. But seriously, his voice was way too nice. Even after reaching the office, his voice lingered in my mind, especially how clearly he dictated his phone number. I quickly took off my cardigan and sat down, opening my notes to copy-paste that string of numbers into WeChat to add him as a friend. As my finger tapped, an unexpected call button appeared at the bottom of the screen. My heart had been racing so intensely that my brain felt sluggish and disconnected. In a bizarre moment of confusion, I watched helplessly as my finger tapped the call button. The screen dimmed, showing an outgoing call. After 2 seconds of panic, I snapped out of it and hurriedly ended the call. But it was already too late. The call had gone through and he would see it. This made it even more suspicious. I should have just confidently waited for him to answer. Hanging up so quickly made me seem incredibly awkward. Forget it. Let's pretend it's nothing. Frustrated, I dropped the phone onto my desk. The next moment, sure enough, he called back. As my phone buzzed, my heartbeat skyrocketed once again. I quickly glanced around, pressed answer, and brought the phone to my ear. Hello? My ear tingled instantly, stirred by that clear, refreshing voice again. Who could possibly resist a voice like that? Holding my breath, I barely whispered, The Candy Beats Studio Buds? My cheeks burned instantly. He was confirming my identity by my earbuds' customized name. Somehow he made even the ordinary model sound special, almost like a personalized nickname. English sounded really nice in his voice too. I steadied myself, responding, Yeah, that's me. He softly replied, Oh, then asked lightly, What can I do for you? His tone was intentionally formal, yet relaxed, laced with a barely concealed smile. I hesitated briefly, then blurted, I just wanted to check if you gave me a fake number. He laughed. Did you confirm it now? Confirmed, I said. It was unbearable. I had to press my free hand firmly over my mouth to contain my smile that felt like it might reach the ceiling. Silence fell. Two strangers, unfamiliar, and inevitably awkward at this juncture. I scrambled for words. I'll add you in a moment. At the same instant, he said, I think I haven't received. We both stopped again, caught by each other's voices. He chuckled softly. I knew we were talking about the same thing. After a brief pause, I cleared my throat and replied to his unfinished question. I just got to the office. I'll add you right away. He responded warmly, All right, so. I forced myself not to laugh. I'll hang up? Okay, bye. I quickly added. See you on WeChat. He echoed. See you on WeChat. He didn't immediately hang up, seemingly waiting for me. I inhaled slowly, then reluctantly pressed the red button to end the call. I was reluctant. I bet any woman who had a conversation with that voice would be equally unwilling to hang up. Keeping my word, I didn't save his number, but immediately sent him a WeChat friend request. His WeChat ID was just a single letter L, like L from Death Note, but his profile picture was unmistakably clear, a typical attractive guy pose. I inwardly mocked him as I typed my verification message, a simple candy emoji, distinctive enough. He quickly approved it. Just as I was about to send a casual hi, WeChat suggested sending a sticker instead. After a brief hesitation, I chose the cutest one. Hi. He replied with the exact same sticker. Help. Now I had no idea what to say next. We'd stumbled through our phone call, and texting didn't seem any easier. Feeling awkward, I typed out, I thought you were a girl at first. He replied with, that question mark pretty much confirmed he was straight. I smiled and explained. The third song today on the subway had female lyrics. He said, Oh. He added, That song is called Good Morning Jay, Me. So you were saying good morning? Him. Sort of. Me? Sort of? Was there another meaning? Him, maybe. He didn't elaborate, but I got the message clearly. The lyrics of that song were pretty suggestive. Some things didn't need to be explicitly stated. Complete transparency might kill the imagination, yet my curiosity eventually won out. I asked, what was up with that voice message today? If my earbuds were connected, he couldn't have sent a live voice message. He answered openly, I recorded it in advance. I was surprised. Him? Last Friday, you listened to my playlist the whole ride. I thought afterward that I'd left too abruptly. If we happened to meet again, and you also wanted to know me, I'd let you hear this. Him? Turns out it came in handy this Friday. A goofy smile spread across my face, and I lapsed into cheesy fate talk. We really are fated. Him? Yeah, me. What if I was a guy? Him? Would a guy use candy as a prefix? I frowned slightly. Maybe he's a sister. Him? That would have been okay too. Laughing, I moved on. I really like your playlist. Him? Thanks. Me? I still can't believe you didn't immediately kick me off your phone last week. Him? Sometimes I entertain accidental visitors. Me? But I listened for a long time. Him? That's why I rode one extra stop that day. Me? Startled? Him? Just like you got off early today. I couldn't help but fan myself. You guessed it? Him. Yeah. I didn't hide it. I looked for you in the subway today, but didn't find you. Him. It's fine. You didn't lose me anyway. Unconsciously, I wanted to sip some water to ease my smile. But as I raised the cup to my lips, I realized that ever since I arrived at the office, I'd been so busy contacting him that I hadn't even had a chance to get water. I ended up just sipping air. With a sigh, I set the empty cup back down and continued typing. What if I didn't get off the train? Him? I don't know. Me? We might never have met again. You should have sent that earlier. Him? I didn't know if you just wanted to be a visitor or really wanted to know me. I was afraid I'd scare you. Me. So you needed a clear signal from me before you'd feel safe sending your own signal back. Him. Exactly. Who knows if the Earthling comes to invade me or make friends. I laughed out loud. All right. Good thing we didn't lose each other, I thought again, trying to subtly fish out his personal info. Hey alien, mind if you give me a nickname? Your username makes me uneasy. It keeps reminding me of Death Note. He obviously knew the anime reference and replied with a laughing emoji. It's the first letter of my name. My surname is Liu. You can note me down as Liu Techim. I stayed slightly cautious, exchanging only trivial information. My English name at work is Kiki. He didn't seem to mind, no need. I've already noted one down when I added you. I got curious, really? What? The chat went silent for a few seconds. Then my lips curved upwards again into a silly smile because he shared a song with me. Sugar, by Maroon 5. Sugar. That Maroon 5 song always brings a surprising kind of joy, probably because its music video is so iconic. Anyone who's seen it will automatically picture a wedding scene as soon as the intro plays and then mentally start dancing. Honestly, I wanted to use this chance to talk to Lucas about the music video too. With songs, our conversation could go on, a never-ending energy source. Unfortunately, I had a brainstorming meeting coming up, so that hope was cut off. Damn work. I replied, I should have picked that as my English name. Kiki doesn't sound nearly as good. Then added, but I have a meeting now. Let's catch up later. Maybe around lunch? Lucas was already typing when I sent the second message. The typing indicator vanished instantly, as if he stopped to rethink his reply. A moment later, his edited message appeared. Okay, Kiki. I smiled. He really knew how to hit just the right note, at least the right note for me. Brief, subtle, perfectly measured. I sent a waving emoji and got up to get some water. On my way back, the intern asked what coffee we wanted. I raised my hand for an Americano, then changed my mind. Make it a latte, with 2 pumps of vanilla syrup. She gave me a surprised look as I walked back to my desk. Before heading into room 1, I changed L in my contacts to Lucas. His last name. It made him feel a little more real. What would this become? No idea. Realistically, normal relationships formed through chat apps always end in one of 2 ways: delete or pin to top. During the meeting, we barely made progress on ideas before the conversation veered off into gossip and random chatter. I took the chance to sneak a look at Lucas's WeChat moments. He had them set to visible for 3 days. His status read, some superhero, some fairy tale bliss. His last post was 2 days ago. A shared song, waving at cars. That song was in my playlist too. I bet if you lined up our music libraries side by side, you could play matching games and finish in record time. Thinking back, I remembered which station he got off at. Westlake. That landmark is known for one thing. It's where Lightlink's headquarters is. Everyone knows most people who get off there are Lightlink employees. So, he's a programmer? God, I could already picture him in checkered shirts. But honestly, his voice sounded more like someone who only ever wears crisp white button-downs. I couldn't stop mentally building his character profile. Luckily, my boss walked into the conference room and everyone quickly straightened up, pretending to brainstorm ideas again. I didn't go downstairs for lunch, just ordered grilled noodles to the office. After placing the order, I opened WeChat and messaged Lucas. Are you busy? He wasn't as quick to respond as in the morning, but he didn't make me wait too long either. Lucas, a little. I said, Then you're definitely not a government employee. Lucas? Wish I were. His weary corporate tone made me smile. Have you eaten yet? Lucas? Not yet. You? Same. Waiting for delivery. Lucas. From where? I might try it too. I told him the name of the place. Owners from the Northeast. Supposedly authentic. Though I've never had the real stuff to compare. Lucas, I've ordered from there before. Then, I guess we don't live that far apart. By the way, is chatting like this disrupting your work? Lucas smoothly shifted the focus. I'm working. But chatting doesn't interfere. Because you're sitting in front of a computer? Lucas. Huh? You have surveillance on me? I laughed. No. But I have a hunch. I hesitated, then said it. You work at Lightlink. Lucas, where else would I be? Lucas, Westlake, what a godforsaken place. I leaned my head on my hand, my skin warming slightly, where it met the back of my hand. But Lightlink's a great company. Lucas, it's a golden cage. I got what he meant and was just about to tease him for being so humble-braggy. But then he suddenly asked, You're really that curious? Lucas, about me? My pulse sped up slightly. Well, not curious enough to stop myself from chasing you off the train. He seemed to accept that reply, a little amused. I was hoping to keep some mystery, you know. I shifted my hand from my face to my temple, rubbing gently from slight embarrassment. If you're curious about me, I could share a bit too, but probably not down to the company name. Lucas, don't bother. To me, you're sugar, not Kiki. Well, I surrendered. This guy, he's something else. He didn't even blink at this uneven exchange of information. From morning till now, he's quietly allowed me to be the one asking all the questions. My face flushed again, and my smile probably bloomed a bit too wide. Part guilt, part feeling special because of how personal he made everything feel. That afternoon, I told my friend about the whole encounter. Can you believe that in just one morning, I got completely, hopelessly crushed on a total stranger I've never even seen? She replied, maybe go meet him. Once you see him in person, you might go from crush to cry. Does he have any photos on his WeChat? She asked. Following her lead, I opened his moments again for a second time. It was like flipping a switch on my smile. I realized he had removed the 3-day limit and made his posts more visible. I scrolled down a bit. There weren't many. Soon, I found one from last year's annual party. He really did work at Lightlink. One photo looked like a departmental group shot. I zoomed in and examined every guy, classic engineer looks. Some were decent looking, but none of them seemed like Lucas. Why was I thinking like this? Couldn't he be one of those average-looking guys? I stared at the picture too long, then backed out and texted my friend, you might be right. Cry it is. Her laughter made me want to reach through the screen and throttle her. Around 9 p.m., I took the subway home. When we passed Westlake Station, my eyes locked onto the door, studying every single person who got on, men and women. Once the doors closed again, I pulled out my earbud case, took out the buds, put them in, and waited in silence. Then I played that same song from earlier in the day. Sugar. I messaged Lucas, just past Westlake Station. That station had meant nothing to me before. But now, somehow, the moment we made contact, every intersection between us started layering, like tying knots on a string. One from me, one from him. He replied quickly, I'm still at the office. I couldn't help but show off a little. Really? I'm already off work. Lucas, it's not that late, you know? Can I mock you a little? Even if it's just the pot calling the kettle black? Lucas, fine. I'm very jealous. I smiled to myself, not caring about the packed train car around me. Then I typed, Lucas. Lucas, yeah? Did you make your moments public because of me? Lucas. I've only added one new friend this whole month. I leaned back against the seat and tried to give him an out. I'm a curious cat. Hope you don't mind. He probably smiled. It's okay. But the way you just called my name kinda made me nervous. Why? Lucas? No idea. He quickly changed the subject. Got any music for the ride home? I had plenty of songs. My earbuds were already playing something. But I lied. Nope. Music dry spell. Lucas sent over another song, Love in a Box. I tapped on it. A light, bouncy tune began playing through my earbuds. The male voice was so fresh, it felt like a field of clover. It's easy to see how everything is loosely put into a box to describe how. It is working. But can you tell me, how did she knock me off of my feet when she said hello? My name is beautiful. As soon as I got home, I took a shower. Normally I'd forget or skip using body lotion, but today I actually pulled out the white tea scented jar from under the scrub and placed it where I could see it, reminding myself not to forget. While gently cleaning my ears with a cotton swab, I returned to my room and picked up my phone from the edge of the bed. Lucas had messaged me. It was a nightscape photo. The lights on the far shore reflected on the lake, like a stretch of stars on the water. I zoomed in like a clueless guy, squinting to confirm it was Westlake, and then saved it to my album before typing, "Just got off work? Lucas, yeah. Didn't take a cab? Lucas, felt like walking. To help digestion? Lucas, haven't eaten yet. Wait, you skipped dinner? Lucas, didn't have time." And then I impulsively typed, "Let me buy you a late night snack." I wasn't even sure if I was joking or being serious. His response was predictable. Now? Why not? "Lucas, it's pretty late." I turned to glance at myself in the mirror, face mask on, and sobered up a little. Right. I've already taken off my makeup. He was still typing. Then he sent, "How about I treat you to lunch tomorrow instead?" My heart thudded unexpectedly at his sudden invitation. I wrinkled my nose and typed, "Lucas, why not?" Ugh, that's on me. Bad influence. Now I had to find a way to walk this back. Sure. "Lucas? But..." My face mask was sliding down as I typed, "I'm not mentally prepared yet." Then he quoted my own message. "So this is a..." I gave in and flopped onto my bed, finishing the thought, "a test." He replied with a sticker of a cat raising its paw in surrender. "I give up." His tone always so gentle. Did I pass the test? I peeled off the now soggy face mask. "Yes. Lucas, it's okay if you say no." But I refused. "I say yes." He paused for a second, maybe processing my mixed signals. "Lucas, let me think about where we can go. What do you like to eat?" Suddenly suspicious, I quoted his own words. "Wait, is this a test for me?" "Lucas, nope. This is your second test for me." "Lucas, thanks for saying yes." I placed the phone over my face, grinning like an idiot. We chatted a bit more. Then Lucas said he was home. I checked the time, past midnight. I told him to go do his own thing, and we'd talk tomorrow. After we said goodnight, I realized I'd forgotten something important. I went back to the chat and asked, "How old are you?" "Lucas, 27. "Okay." "Lucas, why ask all of a sudden?" "So I know how to dress tomorrow." He replied with that same cat surrender sticker. I'd figured it out. Every time he sends that sticker, he's probably smiling. It was his tell. Before bed, I just couldn't calm down. So I reread our entire chat from the day. By the time I finished, it was well past 1 a.m. My cheeks sore from smiling. I noticed he had updated his moments. Another song, "Sleepless Flight." I smiled while reading the lyrics and looped that song endlessly. The next day, I pulled 10 outfits out of my closet and tried them all on. None felt right. In the end, I settled on the one dress I didn't hate. Before catching the subway, I stopped by the salon near my apartment complex and had the stylist blow my hair into soft waves. After enduring over an hour of nervous anticipation, I showed up right on time for lunch. We had agreed to meet near my office, at the entrance of a shopping mall, Gate 1. I walked there slowly, since I wasn't in a rush, but my heart was racing like I was in a sprint. I struggled to regulate my breathing. It was Friday, sunny. Though it was a work day, this part of town was never quiet. Every exit always swarmed with people. I waited by the curb, then sent Lucas a message. "I'm here." He'd messaged me 10 minutes earlier, heading out now. Our messages landed in the chat at the same time. "What are you wearing?" "Lucas, I'm at the entrance already." "Lucas, white shirt." I looked around, scanning every man in a white shirt near the entrance, but Lucas was probably standing still. SOS. I was suddenly back in yesterday's mode, like a panicked pigeon flapping around the subway car. Just then, my phone rang. The ringtone shot my heart up into my throat. I picked up, just about to speak when he said, "I think I see you. Look straight ahead." His voice was like a lighthouse beam cutting through the crowd. I looked toward the direction he hinted, and saw him. A tall, slender guy raised his hand and waved. My brain buzzed. Surprise didn't even begin to cover what I felt in that moment. I instinctively narrowed my eyes. Not because of the sun, not because of the glass reflections, just because of him. He walked toward me, quickening his pace. It was like a scene straight out of a K-drama, soft lighting, slow motion, and I was at the center of the frame. My heartbeat thundered so loud, it froze me in place. I couldn't move. I could barely breathe. He stopped in front of me and said, "Kiki," calm and certain. Not like he was checking if it was me, but like we'd known each other forever. His voice was slightly different from over the phone, more real, clearer, but just as pleasant. I nodded, deciding it was time to stop hiding. "You can call me Mia." Because of work, I'm used to facing clients directly. Eye contact never really phases me. But right then, I could feel heat rushing up to my ears. His gaze was heating me up, or maybe he was just looking, but it was enough to make me feel like I was self-heating. He clearly didn't wear glasses. His eyes were crystal clear. Then he said it again, using my full name, Mia. A gentle, almost playful smile curved his lips. It really is kinda magical. It was the first time I'd seen someone smile so dazzlingly without even showing teeth. Was he really that handsome? Or was it the dopamine rush? Or maybe the weather was just too perfect? He looked so unreal, like the ideal summer boyfriend from a romance movie. Young, radiant, deeply focused eyes, soft bangs, and thick lashes that looked just as soft, made you want to reach out and touch them. I couldn't look away. "You're not the first person to say that," I told him. He introduced himself with his full name, Lucas Grant. I echoed. "Lucas Grant," he hummed in response, nasal tone serious, then rubbed his nose a little awkwardly and gave a tiny cough. Like a student saying here during roll call, only to embarrass himself right after. Damn that youthful charm. Damn how it lived in a 27-year-old man. How could I not get flustered? My lips nearly curled out of control. "Lucas, what's the meaning behind your name? I want to update your contact info," he replied from the saying, "Victory brings glory, defeat brings shame." I gave him a deliberately old-fashioned reply. Wow, so ambitious. For the first time since we met, he smiled big. Not just the polite smirk, but a full expression. And he looked even better like that. More infectious. Actually, he said, my parents were going for something more like, rules create order. I asked, "So, are you a rule-abiding person?" He clearly hadn't expected that follow-up and stumbled slightly, probably. I kept staring at him. "But you don't look rule-abiding at all." Finally, he turned his head slightly, smiling with a bit of bashfulness, a touch of restraint, and that boyish smugness mixed with helplessness. Yeah. Boy. In our chats, Lucas came off more like a man, confident, composed, knowing how to steer the conversation. But in real life, my brain swapped out man for boy. He just had that vibe. When he looked back at me, his expression turned sincere. Should I say thank you or try to explain? He clearly knew his own strengths, didn't shy away from them, but also looked like he couldn't quite handle compliments, giving me the illusion that I held the upper hand. So I teased, "Explain what?" He said, "The part where I don't seem rule-abiding. I didn't want that to be your first impression." I stepped in for him, "Blame your genes. It's not your fault." He laughed out loud again. And for as long as he laughed, I did too, but I had to keep it in a bit. Not too giddy, not too goofy. Why hasn't anyone studied whether flirting helps tone your face? There's definitely potential for science there. We had lunch at a well-reviewed brunch spot on the first floor. I'd always liked their avocado eggs Benedict and raspberry ice cream waffles. Across the table, Lucas was still flipping through the menu, looking a bit indecisive. Forgive me, I couldn't stop looking at him. Even with his head down, he was a sight to behold. Prominent nose bridge, thick brows and dark eyes, long, bony fingers full of definition. After a while, he looked up. With the sunlight brushing across his face, he was the very embodiment of the word handsome. He looked at me and smiled, a little helpless. I got the hint, took a sip of lemon water to moisten my throat, and asked, "You don't know what to order?" "Yeah." He furrowed his brows slightly. "Any recommendations?" "I don't come here often." I straightened my posture a bit. Noticing my movement, he turned the menu toward me, open to the main dishes. Is it just a guy thing to be obsessed with mains? I glanced down and said, "The truffle mushroom cream risotto is pretty good." Lucas said, "Then I'll take that." We each ordered a cup of coffee and a small meat platter. Then we sat quietly waiting. I kept a polite smile on my face, the kind that makes me look proper from this angle. It was partly from genuine joy, and partly to mask that subtle, fluttering unease. The third time we accidentally made eye contact and both laughed, I couldn't help asking, "You don't usually eat out for lunch?" Lucas said, "Mostly eat at the office." I nodded. "I heard Lightlink's cafeteria is pretty great." He replied, "It's all right. I have a colleague who works in-house." They came back bragging about it. He paused for a moment. "What do you do, if you don't mind me asking?" "I work at E-Trend." Oh, he seemed to recall something. "Didn't Payees do their Lunar New Year campaign with you guys last year?" I raised my eyebrows in surprise. "You know about that?" "I work at Payees." I tried not to let my face show how amazed I was. "But seriously, what were the chances? That was your campaign?" He chuckled at my rookie reaction. "Not exactly. I'm just one part of Payees." I grinned. "And parts make the whole. Technically, that was you. Score." He laughed again, and in my head, I awarded myself 3 points. Lucas had beautiful eyes, perfect spacing. When he lifted them slightly, the double eyelid fold appeared, narrow but deep. When he smiled, faint under eye lines softened his whole expression, making him look approachable. "So," he said, "you've been to our office before?" I shook my head. "No, I'm on the social team, but I didn't work on the New Year campaign." He nodded. I sighed dramatically, swiping under my eye like a talk show host. "Geez, can't believe we're talking about work even at lunch." Lucas chuckled. He was about to say something when the waiter arrived with our coffee. "Enjoy," they said before walking off. I looked down, unsure which cup was mine. They looked almost identical. Same size, nearly identical latte art. Lucas didn't reach for his either. I asked, "What did you get?" "Caramel latte." "You?" "Vanilla latte." No wonder. I leaned back against the sofa, a little exasperated. Now what? Lucas, calm as ever, said something wild. "Just take a sip of each and find out." I blinked at him, but he looked completely relaxed. I tilted my head, a little awkwardly. "Won't that be taking advantage of you?" Lucas looked right at me. "Feels more like I'm the one getting the advantage." I laughed and looked away. Round 2 of eye contact, and I lost again. Call it a tie. I leaned back toward the table, pulled the 2 cups in front of me, and cheerfully said, "Well then, I accept your suggestion." Why did my voice come out sounding like I deserved a slap? And worst of all, I usually just grab a cup one-handed and take a sip. But today, I actually picked it up with both hands like I was filming a product ad. Why was I being so extra? Right. It was because of the culprit sitting across from me, staring at my every move without blinking. Can't blame me. No woman could act natural under that gaze, especially with that smile of his. On his face, smiling wasn't just a smile. It was like a warm, silent language. Just looking at him, you could hear it. I silently prayed the first one I picked would be vanilla. It wasn't. That unmistakable caramel flavor filled my mouth, so I didn't even try the second one. I accepted my fate and handed it over. Lucas reached out to take it, as if it were some formal ritual. "Thanks." I covered my mouth and smiled. "You're welcome." After a sip of my own coffee, I decided to steer the conversation towards something more personal. "Lucas," and then froze. Calling him by his full name didn't yet come naturally to me. He lifted an eyebrow. "Grant." I smiled and finished the thought. "Lucas Grant?" He replied, "Yeah." I went on. "Yesterday I looked at that group photo in your moments, but I didn't think you were in it. Though right before coming today, I zoomed in on every single face again." He asked, "Why?" I answered, "Because I thought, what if you were in it?" I wanted to mentally prepare myself. I took a small breath. Turns out, women's intuition is reliable after all. I was the one taking the photo. He smiled. "So, am I what you expected?" His directness caught me off guard. I thought for a few seconds. "You're a little more than expected." He looked genuinely confused. "More?" I carefully chose my words. "I came here expecting something average, and then..." I lifted my left hand and smirked. "You know," Lucas's eyes crinkled slightly, understanding. I grew curious about his impression of me. "What about me? What do you think?" He suddenly started examining me seriously, as if it were the first time he'd really looked at me. His eyes held such a focused intensity that it made my heart race and my breath catch. Luckily, after a few seconds, he looked down. His long lashes fluttered, giving me a brief but charming show, before he looked back up and said, "You're great." "What?" I laughed. "That's so vague." "Is it?" He seemed surprised I didn't believe him. He tilted his head toward the window and gestured to where he'd been standing earlier. "When I saw you from over there, I just knew it was you. That's why I called right away." He actually used the phrase called "in a hurry." "No way I'd call that vague again," I said, because I was the only one looking completely lost. He nodded. "Yeah, you looked very lost." He paused. "And very pretty." I was sure my cheeks had turned red. Right then, the cafe, previously playing mellow Chinese love songs, switched to an English tune. The melody was laid back, and it instantly softened the air around us, like frothy milk foam spreading in a cup, or the faint scent of coffee lingering in the lazy afternoon. "I'll bring you iced coffee, woo woo woo. Maybe passion fruits and strawberries too. I know I'm in love. I just can't take my eyes off you. So good to be true, I'm glad to have this coffee with you." Many customers went silent, simply listening. Lucas and I didn't speak either. We just looked at each other, smiling with silent understanding. We both knew what song it was, "Coffee's on Me" by Sunset Roller Coaster. As the saxophone outro played, Lucas suddenly asked, "Mia, can I buy you another coffee tomorrow?" I froze for a second. My heart screamed, "Why the hell not?" Honestly, if I could, I'd want a second date with him today. He was right in front of me, across the table, and I was already fantasizing about the next time we'd meet. I teased, "Are all Lightlink employees this free?" He didn't take the bait. His eyes were dark and bright. "Can I heard my own happy voice say, "Of course you can." After lunch, Lucas offered to walk me back to the office. I glanced at the time. It was already getting late, so I told him to head back first. He didn't insist. He was more of a gentleman? Not exactly. Gentleman sounds a little too intentional. I think the word I'm looking for is comfortable. He had this natural sense of boundaries that made being around him feel effortless. Back at the office, I went to the bar counter to pour myself a glass of water. When I got back, someone was at my desk, our copywriter. The moment she saw me, her eyes sharpened. "Mia, be honest. Why didn't you have lunch with us?" Another A&E joined in. "Yeah, what gives?" I put down my cup and said what they were clearly hoping to hear was out hooking up with some mystery man. "You slut." We joked around for a bit and discussed some details about the opening screen posters. Finally, they cleared out and I had my desk to myself again. I pulled out my chair, sat down, opened WeChat, and saw Lucas had messaged me 5 minutes ago. "Lucas? Back at the office?" "Me. Yup. You?" He sent a wide-angle photo of his workstation. His desk looked professional and tidy. 2 monitors, a laptop off to the left, a black and white keyboard, power strip, books, bottled water, and 2 pieces of gear I couldn't identify. No plants, no decorations. I spotted the one splash of color, a familiar pink book. I circled it and replied, "You read this too?" "Lucas, look again." I zoomed in and realized it was still shrink-wrapped. "Just bought it?" "Lucas, yeah, saw it in your moments. Walked past Sisyphe bookstore on my way back and figured it might come in handy someday." My cheeks lifted into a smile on reflex. From yesterday to now, this had become muscle memory, like a spell. The book was Marco Valdo. It was runner-up on last year's Dubin foreign fiction list. The first place book was too heavy. The third one, too fragmented. This one had a bright, quirky cover, so I bought it. Just finished reading it recently. Me, looks like it's already come in handy. Lucas, unexpected bonus. Do I believe him? Me, you probably shouldn't blindly follow what I post on Moments. Most of it's just the deck of the iceberg. Lucas, meaning me. I mean, it's curated. You know, looking polished and tasteful is part of the job. Clients want to see someone mentally stable and aesthetically aware before they trust you with their project. Truth is, I barely read these days. Most nights I'm too wiped out to do anything but scroll through Taobao, Douban, Weibo, until someone tags me for work or I fall asleep. I paused, then realized I was dumping way too much on a guy I just met yesterday, and a really good-looking one at that. Me, but I bounced back the next day, of course. Lucas, Taobao, Weibo, Douban. Me, what? Something wrong with that? Lucas, just one thing. Me, let's hear it. Lucas, maybe consider adding WeChat to the list? I couldn't help but laugh quietly and typed, I'm glued to WeChat all day. Me. Enterprise version though. Lucas? My bad. Didn't think of that. We use Ding Talk at our company. Because Lucas had already left such a vivid impression on me at lunch, every message he sent after that seemed to animate itself in my head. I could picture his expressions, his tone, like he was acting it all out in front of me. For example, with that last line, I could totally see him pretending to be all serious, lips pressed tight, acting all proper, but his eyes still crinkled, smiling. A few seconds later, he sent a screenshot, his NetEase Cloud Music page. Lucas, if you're allergic to WeChat, we can talk here too. I burst out laughing at my screen and typed, let's stick with WeChat. Lucas, okay. Me, so WeChat, Taobao, Weibo, Douban. That lineup good enough? His reply felt just like one of those smart aleck top students from school. Humble on the outside, smug on the inside, didn't expect to be ranked first when I asked. Me, this comes with conditions, mister. Equivalent exchange. Lucas, deal. Fast reply. And the tone? So obedient, so indulgent. Me, what do you usually do after work or on weekends? Lucas, swimming, baking, cycling, basketball. Me? Lucas, just kidding. Gaming. Me, damn. Almost got pressure cooked by your perfection. Me, mobile games. Lucas, sometimes. Mostly PC. Me, Steam. Lucas, yeah, been playing something on there lately. Me, what is it? Lucas, grounded. Me, any good? Lucas, you interested? Me, not really. I don't have much time. Lucas, laughs, then why ask? Me, because this is my Marco-Valdo. I bet he laughed. Lucas, don't overthink it. Just chat. Me, exactly. We've got plenty of songs to talk about. Lucas, tomorrow's coffee works for that too. Me, and after coffee, we can talk about coffee flavors. Lucas, if it's good, we stick with it. If not, we find a new place. We were bouncing messages back and forth like middle school kids. It was ridiculous. If I weren't wearing makeup, I'd splash water on my face to wake up. This whole floaty feeling was like a dream I'd been drifting through all afternoon. That night, except for washing up, I basically spent the entire evening chatting with Lucas. We followed each other on NetEase Cloud, and the whole conversation revolved around music. We had wide tastes. Country, rock, jazz? Sure. Pop, R&B, blues? Why not? Toward the end, Lucas asked, "What time do you usually catch the train?" Me, if I don't have anything urgent. Usually around 10 a.m. Lucas, got it. Me, why? Gonna try to run into me? Lucas, gonna give it a shot. The next morning, I put my earbuds in early and turned off my own Bluetooth, hoping to connect to his instead. I waited at my usual spot on the platform. The second I boarded and found my place, my earbuds chimed, connected. I looked up, casually scanning, and there he was. Lucas, wearing a white hoodie, tall, bright as ever. My eyes must have gone huge because he broke into an even bigger smile. There were 3 people between us. How did I not notice him the last 2 times? A mystery of the human race. Still basking in that gentle surprise, Lucas lifted his phone and started typing, lips curved up. I opened WeChat. No new messages. Then his voice came through my earbuds, clear and warm. "Good morning, sugar? Wanna listen to some music?" I couldn't help but smile. He wasn't giving it a shot at all. He'd come fully prepared, with a custom playlist just for me. I glanced sideways. He happened to be looking over too. His height made it effortless, even in a crowd. I typed back on WeChat, sure. He lowered his gaze. His bangs obediently fell, covering his eyes. A second later, a song began to play, an upbeat duet between a man and a woman. A love song. Right then, Lucas stepped closer, smiling. He lit up like he was made of sunlight, especially knowing that smile was meant for me. That kind of vanity, that kind of secret glee, was enough to make me float like a helium balloon. He stopped right beside me, slightly behind. To face him, I'd have to turn my head. My heart raced. It thudded wildly in sync with the music, completely out of step. We'd been this close before, but yesterday we were face to face. Today, I couldn't see him. The loss of visual control made my nerves spike. I knew he was probably watching me, maybe often, drooping his lashes, those soft, curved lashes. The awareness prickled my back. Feeling bashful, I let go of the hand strap. Behind me, Lucas lifted his arm, took my place, and grabbed the same strap with ease. With that one move, he invaded half my space. His arm hovered by my face, subtle but overwhelming. In my ears, the duet wove into each other sweetly. I don't want to hide what I feel inside. There's tension building in the morning light. We're both waiting, keeping time. My hand is open. It's waiting for yours. When will you give me a love that's yours? We are. More than just digital. Let's put down the phones. Let's make it magical. Magical. Don't think too much, it's just a vibe since I met you. Every night's a good night. Would you take a step and walk with me? I inhaled, long and deep. The music faded. My ears were quiet, but inside my chest was a thunderstorm. I raised my right hand and curled a finger, a silent cue. I have something to say. He leaned in, like a tall, gentle white horse, calm and steady, letting me draw him close. My throat felt tight and dry. I whispered, "What's the name of this song?" His voice, low and smooth, slid into my ear like silk, coming toward me. Starting a new relationship inevitably disrupts the comfort zone you've built for yourself. Before getting off the train, I curiously asked Lucas if he usually started work around 10. He said, "It's more flexible." "I thought you guys were the typical 996 type," I said. "As long as the work gets done," he replied casually. Forgive me for dragging the conversation back to work again, because if I said anything more romantic, I was seriously afraid I'd end up grabbing his arm like a smitten 16-year-old, whimpering, "Can't you stay 2 more stops with me?" It was as if he read my mind. When we reached Westlake Station and a bunch of people got off, he remained motionless. I turned to look at him, clearly surprised. He lowered his gaze and smiled faintly. "How many more times are you going to look at me like that today?" "You're not getting off?" I asked. He raised his brows, pretending to be puzzled. "Didn't that question of yours just now mean you wanted me to stay longer?" I froze. "Which question?" "The one where you asked about my working hours." I emphasized, "No, I was worried you'd be late." He blinked, sounding a little aggrieved. "So fierce, Mia." I was speechless. How did it turn out like this? A woman too shy to act coy and a man so naturally good at it. And the worst part was, I fell for it. Also, what eye drops did he use? He stared at screens all day, yet his eyes were so clear, with a perfect black and white contrast. I softened my tone and repeated myself gently, "No, really. I was worried you'd be late." He raised his eyebrows at my sudden change in attitude. "Not at all. It gives me the perfect excuse to go in late." In that moment, he switched again, from an innocent little brother to a calm and indulgent older one. This slippery guy. I sighed inwardly and turned my back on him again. No point saying anything now. The train doors had closed, and we were already speeding off to the next station. Outside the window, flashes of vibrant ads flew by. Suddenly, he called my name. I turned to him. "This is our second time meeting, right?" he asked. I thought for a moment. "Yeah, first time's unfamiliar, second time's familiar. We're basically close now, don't you think?" I joked, "How close?" At that, he lifted his head, sniffing in the air like a big puppy, then gave a serious verdict. "Ready for cumin?" I couldn't help laughing out loud, showing at least 8 teeth. He laughed too. Laughter is just like a high-level contagion. It spreads fast. I realized I was falling for Lucas way too quickly. Yes, it was only our second time seeing each other. It wasn't too bad when I was busy, but the moment I had even a sliver of downtime, his every smile, glance, and gesture would pop into my head like a drug I couldn't resist, urging me to reach out. Thank God we had planned a coffee date at lunch. It was my cure. But when I got out of a meeting, I found out there had been a minor incident on set. I had to go meet a client and treat them to lunch to make amends. No choice. I messaged Lucas, 2 nonsense syllables, "Goo-goo," trying to be cute. Softened the blow of what I was about to say. "Lucas?" I added another. "Goo-goo-goo. Lucas, so no coffee today?" Me, "Yeah, sorry. Something urgent came up. Can I make it up to you next week?" Lucas, "Sure." I thought that was it. The date, dead before it began. But half an hour later, I received a Starbucks Cloud Latte via delivery. No need to ask. I knew who sent it. Me. Thank you. Lucas, check my moments. He'd posted a photo of his desk with a matching Cloud Latte, The caption read, "Cheers." I smiled. He was the first guy I'd ever seen cheers with paper cups. Adorable. A little god of happiness falling straight from the sky. I snapped a picture of mine and sent it back, cheers. Because we didn't get to meet at lunch, and with the weekend approaching, I ended up texting Lucas all night, until nearly 2 a.m. I hadn't even showered. No more delay. I sat up in bed, forced myself to say goodnight, and was just about to turn off my phone when, ping, another message popped up. Hard to ignore. Lucas, last question before bed. What song do you use as your alarm? Me, 5 years' time. Lucas, that's a cheerful one. I remember. Lucas, let me listen again. He sent me the link. Just as I was about to refuse, who wants to hear their alarm on a weekend? Another message popped up. Lucas, want to go to the zoo? I blinked. Check the time. Now? Then he sent a screenshot of the lyrics. It explained everything. He got the idea from the song. Oh well, in 5 years' time, we could be walking around a zoo with the sun shining down over me, and you put my hands over your eyes, but you peek through. The image was so vivid, I couldn't help but tap the link and listen along. The song opened with cheerful whistling. I smiled and typed, "This late? What zoo is still open?" Lucas was silent, typing for quite a while. Then, 2 minutes later, a stream of emojis burst across the screen. A boy, a girl, surrounded by animals, a massive sun overhead. Right then, in my earbuds, the song hit. All over our bodies, and sun, sun, sun all down our necks, and there'll be sun, sun, sun all over our faces, and sun, sun, sun. My face was definitely covered in sun, sun, sun too, because of that childish and completely unique reply. Me, I appreciate you, you ridiculous ray of sunshine. Truth was, I was already glowing inside. Lucas, handsome, quick-witted, and ridiculously good at flirting. I couldn't help imagining what it'd be like to date him, kiss him. Would he be just as dazzling in bed? As I spiraled in fantasy, heart fluttering, Lucas sent another message, this one sincere. Lucas, are you free tomorrow? I want to take you to the zoo. Me, I regret telling you about this song. Lucas, why? Me, because I want to sleep in. Lucas, afternoon sunshine is nice too. I stared at our chat, sighed deeply, and gave in. Seriously, someone teach me, how do you say no to the sun? Who could resist honey-colored sunshine? A little after 1 p.m., Lucas and I set off on time. I hadn't expected him to own a car, a pure white Mercedes GLC. Lately, I'd been thinking about getting a car for commuting, so I asked him about price, performance, and how it felt to drive. Finally, I asked, "You don't usually drive, do you?" "Not really," Lucas replied. "Not on weekdays." "So you just let it sit there?" He said, "Want to borrow it? You can use it during the week." I paused, caught off guard by his generosity. If I used it for a month, it'd probably need a full-body paint job by the time I return it. Lucas laughed and started the music. It was that same song we'd talked about the night before, the one that led us here today. As the cheerful tune filled the car, he rolled down all the windows. The breeze and golden sunlight spilled in. "This is the only way to listen to it," he said. The sunlight made me squint. My whole body felt warm. Autumn clouds floated low and thick, hugging rooftops like fluffy cotton. Because of traffic, Lucas didn't drive fast. It felt like we were slowly drifting through those clouds. Creek Mountain Wildlife Zoo was far from the city center. We arrived around 2:15, nearly an hour's drive. The entrance was filled with families waiting in line to scan tickets. Couples like us were rare. We stood out. I dressed casually today, sweatpants, a cream-colored hoodie. Since the theme was sun, 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 I didn't wear a sun hat, just doubled up on sunscreen. Not that Lucas would have noticed. We passed under a stretch of dense shade and stopped by the lake. Kids crowded the dock, feeding swans and mandarin ducks. "Wait here," Lucas said. He returned a moment later holding 2 paper cups filled with bird feed and handed me one. The lake shimmered in the sunlight. I tossed in a few cabbage leaves, and a black swan lunged forward, pecking fiercely. "Did you come here when you were little?" Lucas asked. "No," I turned to him. "I'm not from Yi City. Came here for college and stayed after graduation." Lucas, smooth as ever, followed up. "So that's why it feels special?" The sun made my cheeks flush. I nodded. "Yeah." I didn't look away. "You're from Yi City, right?" He confirmed with a phrase in local dialect. Not hard to guess. Lucas had all the classic traits of local boys. Well cared for, bred in the city. Getting along with him was like slowly savoring polished grains of rice. He exuded the warmth only nurtured by good soil. I threw the same question back. "Have you been here before?" "Yeah." "Many times." I blinked, then teased. "So, you've come here with lots of people, huh?" Lucas said, "But I've only fed swans with you." Still teasing, I asked, "Wow, stingy much? Never treated anyone else?" Lucas smiled. My family didn't want me spending money. His willingness to go along made me happy, and a little annoyed. But when he lowered his eyes, focusing intently, and those thick lashes cast soft shadows across his cheek, I realized it wasn't an act. This was just who he was. And in that moment, it felt like he was just mine. I really loved pandas. When I'm stressed from work, I watch panda videos to decompress. So, naturally, we lingered in the panda exhibit for quite a while, especially at the gift shop packed with adorable panda merch. While wandering around the shop, I pointed at a panda hat with ears that could twitch. "Try this on," I said. It looked perfect for him. Lucas immediately picked it up and put it on, then turned to face me. The hat squashed his bangs a little, covering his brows more than usual, making him look even more obedient. I curled my fingers, restraining the urge to smooth his hair. Thankfully, he fixed it himself. Some strands had poked his eyes. After adjusting it, we both reached for the controls at the same time. His right hand, my left. Our hands brushed lightly in the air. It was subtle, but I felt a sudden tremor in the air between us. Then everything stilled, an incredibly delicate stillness. I broke it quickly, saying, "Ah," and dropped my hand. "You do it?" Lucas didn't move. Instead, he held up the two furry controls and handed them to me. "Show me." I've never used one before. I immediately called out the lie. "Never." "Then how did you know where the buttons were?" Lucas answered, "Matter of fact, I've never used the panda version." I couldn't argue with that. I took the controls and squeezed them. The two black ears on his head shot up with a sharp squeak. Lucas raised his brows slightly, glancing up as if to check what had just happened. It made him look even more boyish. I let go of the switch. As expected. "Suits you perfectly," he replied. "Is it because they go well with my dark circles?" I looked from the ears to his flawless face. "Where?" I didn't even notice. He looked surprised. "Really? I didn't sleep well last night?" I got the hint, then go to bed early tonight. Lucas nodded solemnly. "Okay. Remind me when we're chatting later. This guy, sun still high in the sky, and he's already hinting at our nightly chats." "Hey, Mia," he called. "Hmm?" His eyes sparkled. "Say my name." "Lucas." He pressed a button. Squeak. The ears popped up. I laughed and said it again. "Lucas." Squeak. I got playful and called out 3 times fast. "Lucas, Lucas, Lucas." He pressed the button 3 times in sync. Squeak, squeak, squeak. The store clerk behind us called out, "Aren't you gonna buy one already?" Lucas yanked the hat off, messing up a tuft of hair in the process. He didn't even notice. "All right, we'll take it." On the drive back, night had already fallen. Neon lights flickered on both sides of the road, giving the skyline a cyberpunk vibe. The whole afternoon sunlight had soaked into me like a mild wine, leaving me a little tipsy. Add in the slow English music playing in the car. I didn't want to move, didn't want to talk, just leaned against the window, watching the city pass by. After a while, Lucas spoke up. "Want to switch to a Chinese song?" "Sure," I said. "Or should we stick with English?" "Either is fine. Let's keep the English ones. You work at a foreign company after all." That was so lame, I pretended not to hear it. He changed the song. Guitar chords came through the speakers. "Your gentle long hair brushes past my lips in the wind." I blinked and brushed a loose strand off my lips. I hadn't even noticed it, but he did. My childish jokes. Why are you the only one not laughing? Okay, now I laughed. You gaze out the window lost in thought. I watch you while lost in thought. Where the heck did he find these songs? I was genuinely impressed. I withdrew my arm from the window and turned to look at him. As expected, Lucas was already looking at me, one hand on the wheel. I put on my best GPS voice. "Dear driver, please keep your eyes on the road." He glanced out the windshield and replied in the same voice, "Red light ahead. Please please remain calm? Frozen in this quiet little car cabin, I had no comeback. So I pretended to glare, shooting him a dramatic death stare. Lucas immediately responded with a blinding smile that hit dead center. I couldn't help but surrender, my lips tugging upward. I was getting more comfortable around him, comfortable enough to make all kinds of expressions, even if I didn't know whether they looked cute or ugly. I turned back around. Just then, the song title slid slowly across the screen. A song for the first girl I ever liked. I smiled and scoffed inwardly, as if this marked my 10th year in Yi City, and within just 3 days I came to a firm conclusion. I had met the most attractive, most irresistible man I had ever encountered. Because of work, I had interacted with all kinds of people, many of them men. Each was different, of course, but easy to categorize. Broadly speaking, they fell into two types: high-status types with overwhelming dad energy, and youthful boys with immature behavior. Age and social class manifested clearly in them. They loved to flaunt, to distinguish themselves, to collect admiration and coddling from women like medals. And without exception, they were all confident. Lucas, too, was confident, but he felt different. His way of handling relationships was light, unforced. He never tried hard to shape himself into the center of attention. Instead, he created a subtle atmosphere that made you feel like the flower held up by branches and leaves. That was why it was so comfortable being with him. So comfortable it felt like floating. But therein lay the danger. It was too easy to fall hard. So after getting home, I did something embarrassingly childish. I didn't message him. Instead, I launched a full-scale investigation of his WeChat moments, scrolling through every post. Especially the ones from late last year when my colleague worked in-house at Payees. I read those with extra care. I even browsed the moments of 2 female colleagues who had been on the Payees XE to Trend Spring Festival project team. I couldn't help but think, if I saw Lucas in any of their comments or likes, I might snap out of this obsession, maybe even lose interest. But in the end, there was nothing. Our social circles didn't overlap at all. I let out a breath of relief. That's when I realized I was already emotionally invested. After showering, I got a message from Lucas. "Are you asleep?" Me, getting ready for bed. Lucas, that early? Me, sleepy. There was a pause. Lucas, all right, good night, Mia. Me, good night. In that moment, I couldn't tell if my lukewarm responses were intentional or not. All I knew was I'd fallen into a post-high slump, a hollow quietness after such a bright, joyful day at the zoo. We had so many moments worth replaying and sharing, perfect openings to deepen things, but I let them slip away. Later, I called a friend and told her I'd met Lucas. I described everything in detail. Her response was pure envy and advice: you should sleep with him as soon as possible. I sighed, still conflicted. She added, just enjoy it. What, you think you're gonna raise kids with this man? Of course not, I said, straightening up, trying to explain. It's too easy to get swept up. That feeling he gives off of being the only one, of being chosen, it's intoxicating. That's why I'm cautious. I'm worried if we keep going, I'll get overwhelmed. If I'm unsure, it's okay to step back and cool down, right? Because of all this, I ended up leaving Lucas on read, which, in hindsight, probably made me seem calculating or cold. After the call, I reopened Lucas's profile and checked his moments again. That's when I noticed he'd changed his profile picture. It was a panda, just a little blob of a back view, hanging from a tree branch, facing away. When did he change it? Why pick something so pitiful? As I stared at it, a sweet feeling rippled across my face. I returned to our chat window, hesitated, then gave him a virtual poke. Lucas hadn't set any poke message, so all it said was, "You poked Lucas." Lucas? Lucas? You're still up? I lied, just about to sleep. Saw your new profile pic and wanted to see it bigger. Accidentally poked you. Lucas, is it cute? Me, kinda cute. Lucas, not kinda. Super cute. He wasn't wrong. It had successfully won my heart. But also, it was digging him a deeper hole. I teased him, aiming at the panda. How long do you plan to keep that adorable profile pic? That kind of question puts pressure on anyone, so I was curious how he'd answer. He replied almost immediately, until its ears stopped moving. I chuckled, remembering the panda hat from earlier, and responded like a straight shooter. It's a still image. It doesn't move. Lucas, then poke me more. It'll move. I stared at that message, caught between laughing and not laughing. Sat there in silence for a long time before admitting defeat. I couldn't beat Lucas. In his hands, words weren't just tools, they were magic. I gave in to my emotions, and to myself, little panda. I think I kind of like you. My casual tone was the last shred of pride I clung to. The chat window went quiet again. Then I saw the typing indicator flicker on and off for a while. Finally, he sent a short, slightly helpless message. Lucas, don't say things like that right before bed. Now I won't be able to sleep for the second night in a row. He was probably smiling, all because of that one nickname, Little Panda. Me? Can I call you that? Little Panda? Lucas, you can. Then he took the chance to make a request. Change my contact name to that too. I bit my lip and emphasized, just a little. Don't get cocky. It wasn't just a little. Not at all. At least not right now. My heart was pounding hard because I had confessed in my own way. Lucas, even a little can mean a lot. Me, don't exaggerate. Lucas, not exaggerating. I have proof. Me, what proof? He sent me a song. The song with magical power. He was answering me with music again. Something just between us. Chen Li's voice floated in, clear, airy. This night, heavy with sweetness and longing, finally drew to a close. I surrendered, sent him a bomb emoji. Bratty, uncool, total chaos, whatever. He replied with a firework. Watching the colorful fireworks burst in our chat window, I started to believe that maybe there was something faded in my name. Miyachi really had met a magical boy. On Monday morning, I ran into Lucas again on the subway. He had clearly mastered the art of waiting patiently, and this little rabbit was no longer hesitant, but filled with hope, no longer afraid to bump into the same white poplar. Today's little poplar had found a seat. It was a bit lower than last time, but still stood tall among the crowd. His head was high, scanning left and right. I spotted him first but didn't say anything. I waited for him to find me, then gave a little head tilt as a greeting. He smiled, stood up, and offered me his seat. I didn't decline. I sat down and greeted him. Morning, little panda. Morning, Mia. He looked down at me from above, lips red, teeth white. We no longer said what a coincidence. This train, this car, had become a silent agreement between us. He handed me a McDonald's paper bag with his left hand. I paused, didn't take it, and played dumb. What's this? Breakfast, he said. I stayed still. Whose breakfast? If it's not yours, then it's mine. I laughed. You haven't eaten? Lucas shook his head. Nope, I've already eaten at home, I said, then added softly, besides, it wasn't really for me anyway. Why wouldn't it be? His tone rose dramatically, like I'd unjustly accused him of something terrible. His reaction made me laugh. You couldn't guarantee you'd run into me. That's why I said, he remained sharp. If it's not yours, it's mine. I rested my hand on my tote bag. If I take it, won't you be hungry at work? I can always buy another. I exhaled. You eat it. I already had breakfast. But thank you. Only then did he lower the hand that had been suspended in midair. Next to him, a couple had clearly been eavesdropping, watching the whole interaction of a handsome guy getting politely turned down. Yet Lucas showed no embarrassment at all. One stop before Westlake, the elderly woman next to me got off. Lucas quickly slid into the seat beside me like it was a game of musical chairs. I watched as he took off his backpack. A smoky gray pleated design, instantly recognizable as Issey Miyake. I joked, do all programmers have to own something plaid? Like a Lucky Charm? Lucas didn't deny it. Maybe he had great fashion sense. Clean, fresh, not chasing flashy brands, but full of thoughtful details. Clearly well put together. Was it because of me? Or just his normal standard? Either way, it made the corners of my mouth lift. I glanced at him again. Only one stop left and you had to come sit here. He corrected me. 3 stops. Not long after I got back to the office, Lucas sent me a message. You could almost call it a check-in. It might sound dramatic, but that's how it felt. He said, today might be really busy, might not reply in time. I smiled. Busy's good. I'm busy too. We were both just struggling workers after all. There was a meeting in the morning and a pitch in the afternoon. By the time I got back from a client visit, it was already evening. I was sitting in the second row of the company van, by the window, It was stuffy in the car, so I rolled down the window. The sky outside was unusually beautiful, orange and pink blending together, tinting the city like a painting. The GPS voice announced, "Westlake Park, 200 meters ahead." I was stunned. I asked the driver, "Is Westlake up ahead?" He turned halfway and said, "Yeah." I asked, "We're done for the day, right? Can I get off up there?" My copywriter teammate sitting next to me said, "You're not coming to dinner?" I shook my head, got off at the park entrance, opened my map, and followed the directions for 600 meters until I reached the main gate of the Lightlink campus. I made eye contact with the security guard and lowered my head to message Lucas. "Are you busy?" "Lucas, not really. About to eat." I typed, "Can you spare?" Deleted it. Retyped, "Could you spare 20 minutes? I might need your help. It's nothing urgent, so feel free to say no." "Lucas, what's up?" "I can give you half an hour." I smiled and sent my location. "I want to show you the sunset." He replied, clearly surprised. "Then, where are you?" "At the gate," I said. Lightlink was truly a massive tech campus. Just getting out to meet me took Lucas 10 minutes, even with a brisk pace. That left us 20 minutes. He said something to the guard, who waved me through. As we walked together, I felt a little guilty for acting on impulse. "Sorry. I happened to pass by your campus on the way back, and the sky was just too pretty to ignore." Lucas, slightly out of breath, looked up. He probably hadn't even noticed the sky until now. He paused and said, "It really is beautiful. Have you eaten?" I asked. He removed his badge and said, "Not yet. Let's eat out." I stopped him. "No need to take it off. I didn't come to scam a meal." He looked at me. "You show me a sunset, I show you dinner. Fair trade." "And also," he added, holding the badge between two fingers, "this thing makes me look silly." I looked at the upside-down ID photo. Not silly at all. He looked handsome from every angle. "No," he said, smiling brighter as the light dimmed. "It really does." "Can I see it?" I asked. He paused his fidgeting, handed it to me. I studied the photo. He looked just like now. That same clear, warm smile. "When was this taken?" 2 years ago. When I first joined Lightlink. Everyone in the department had to take one. I handed it back and looked at the sky again. It's already changed. It was orange-pink a moment ago. Now it's blue-pink. Lucas followed my gaze. "It reminds me of a movie." "Which one?" I asked. He didn't answer, just started whistling a familiar intro. I grinned knowingly. "La La Land." The sky looked just like the one in that movie. He tilted his head. "You've seen it?" I nodded and sang the first line. "City of stars, are you shining just for me?" Lucas widened his eyes and mimicked Jishu. "Not bad, oh." Then he continued singing. "City of stars, there's so much that I can't see, who knows." His voice was different from Gosling's, lighter, clearer, but perfectly in tune and fluent. When he finished, he gestured at me. I froze. He lifted his chin. "Go on." "I only know the first line," I said. "Humming works too." I sighed, then obliged. "Yes, all we're looking for is love from someone else. A rush, a glance, a touch, a dance." So we hummed and sang our way toward the edge of the sunset, to the end of the road. If one of us forgot a line, the other filled it in. If we stumbled or repeated, it didn't matter. On the way back, I was still humming. Lucas walked quietly beside me. The long avenue through his campus stretched endlessly. Streetlights flicked on one by one. In this quiet corner of the city, under a cotton candy sky, I felt like I was living in a romantic film. Just before the gate, Lucas got a call. I figured it was goodbye. Should I do something? That thought sparked a wave of heat in my chest. When he hung up, he gave me an apologetic smile. Before he could speak, I called his name. "Yeah?" He answered. I stepped forward, stood on my toes, and kissed him. Soft, short, and light. His lips were warm and dry. It almost didn't feel real, but something had exploded in my brain, a starburst scattering light. I tried to control my breathing. Lucas stared, stunned. His face turned visibly red, and the blush spread fast, even to his ears, like the pink sky earlier. I stared into his bright eyes, trying to hold steady, to explain myself. But then, I realized there was nothing to explain. The sky was beautiful. The music was beautiful. The moment was beautiful. That was enough. I was sure my kiss had been bold and natural, not some sneaky ambush. "I'll head out now," I said. He blinked, still dazed. If I looked at him a second longer, I'd probably fall apart. "You go too." "Bye." I took a few steps away, then heard him call out, "Mia!" Just as I turned, he grabbed my wrist. It was the first time he'd really touched me, his palm hot, his grip strong and inescapable. Even pandas have claws. Was he going to ask what that kiss meant? I panicked, ready to respond with a cheesy alpha line, "Don't worry, I'll take responsibility." But Lucas didn't say that. Under the deep blue sky, he looked at me intensely for a few seconds, then let go and said, "Let me call you a car." "No need," I said. "It's easy to get a ride here." That kiss had shifted my focus. Now I couldn't stop staring at his lips. "You got lipstick on," I said. Thank goodness I noticed. He froze. "Where?" Nervous, clearly. I raised my thumb and gently wiped the center of his bottom lip, twice, firmer than the kiss. As I lowered my hand, he suddenly grabbed my wrist, pressed my thumb back against his lips, exactly where I'd kissed him. The reversal sent a jolt through me. Pleasure rushed in, intense and uncontrollable. Every nerve burned under his hot, silent gaze. "Lucas," I said, trying to pull away. His Adam's apple bobbed. He finally let go. I exhaled and pretended nothing happened, squinting at his lips. "Should be clean now." He smiled. "Why'd you do it right at the gate?" I looked around. "What about it?" "There's a security camera." "So?" I asked. "I still want to keep my job." I frowned. "You think I got you in trouble?" Lucas nodded solemnly, then grinned. "I might start skipping work." On the fourth day after meeting Lucas, at the start of a Sunset Avenue, I kissed him. The moment I got home, I regretted it. It was way too impulsive, like skipping a grade in a relationship. I didn't really know him, just his job, his face, his car, and the fact that he was good at conversation. Did he like me? Was he genuine? I had no idea. Would my rash move make him think, "What is this woman doing?" Would it scare him off? All I could picture was that final moment. His flushed face, the feeling of my finger against his lips. I kept imagining what it would be like if we really kissed, deeply and completely. What would that feel like? I tossed and turned, feeling hot all over. I splashed water on my face and stared at our chat history. We'd messaged after parting, but nothing about the kiss. Just small talk, like it never happened. I hadn't gone back to the office since returning from Lightlink. I just lay around. Work flexibility gave me the space to wallow after that dramatic move. But deep reflection is for saints, not me. I wasn't here to carve a golden Buddha version of myself. In the middle of my mental spiral, Lucas gave me an answer. Sort of. He called. The sound of wind reached me before his voice. He called right after getting off work. Realizing that made me laugh. "Are you still outside?" I asked. "Yeah, just got off," he said, sounding relaxed. I glanced at the time. "It's almost midnight." "Yep," I teased. "Don't tell me you're walking home again." "Walking gives me more time to talk," he replied. I leaned against a pillow, cozy and warm. "You could have gone home first and then called. That way." "Nope," he interrupted. "Has to be now." His words fluttered straight into my chest. I laughed. "All right then. You're the one freezing, not me." He gave a low chuckle. Silence fell, filled only by the faint wind. Then he said, "Mia, earlier, on our way back, I didn't say much. Remember?" "Yeah." The whole time I kept thinking, should I hold your hand? And then he trailed off with a quiet laugh. I couldn't help but smile. "What?" "Big sis just moves a little faster." He latched onto the term. "Big sis. You didn't know?" "I'm a year older than you." "That's nothing," he replied playfully. "My birthday's late." "How late?" 1, 2, 3, March. I mocked. Wow, such a late birthday. At least it's still in the first half of the year. Maybe we even started kindergarten together? That comment made me imagine what he must have looked like as a kid. Adorably chubby? Sweet and polished? Dangerous thought. This man was quickly becoming the star of all my fantasies. Like a plant drawn to sunlight, I couldn't stay neutral. Couldn't view him objectively anymore. My thoughts circled back to his hesitation. I wasn't the only one who'd had bold fantasies and wanted to act on them. I asked. Then why didn't you? Lucas said sincerely, we weren't standing that close. We didn't even brush hands. I thought it might come off abrupt. I said, but I wasn't thinking much today. Even when I went to find you, I didn't overthink it. He replied, now I really regret it. He didn't say he was sorry or ashamed. He said he regretted it, and it landed deep. I laughed and teased. Didn't you grab my hand before you left, though? Instead of joking back, he asked, did you move? I blinked. Move? Are you still living in the place I dropped you off on Sunday? Yeah. Pause. I'm almost there. I nearly jumped out of bed. You came over? Can I see you? Just for a moment, he said calmly. No pressure. Like, it'd be okay if I said no. There's a convenience store by your place that's still open, bright and safe. I ran a hand through my hair. Wait for me. As I walked into the night, I felt like the wind and flowers were cheering me on. Somehow, I'd known he'd show up. That's why I hadn't showered or taken off my makeup like usual. I'd read it in his eyes earlier. There was unfinished business between us, something we had to say before sunrise. When I reached the gate, I was out of breath. Lucas stood outside the convenience store, half in light, half in shadow. Same backpack as this morning. We spotted each other at the same time and walked toward each other. I'd prepared so many opening lines, playful, sweet, but none of them mattered. The second we stopped, he cupped my face and kissed me. My back tingled, knees went weak. Lucas's scent overwhelmed me like a sensual perfume. My hands moved on instinct, touching his shoulders, neck, cheek, hair, meeting his heat, his breath, his lips. We clung to each other like we were drowning. Even after the kiss, he didn't step back. He stayed close, lips still almost touching. He smiled and whispered, now I can finally relax. I laughed. What was wrong with your heart? It was all tied up. All night, he glanced behind me. There's a camera at your gate, right? I grinned wider. Probably. Will this get you in trouble with your neighbors? I shook my head. Nah. They'll just be jealous that a handsome guy came all this way in the middle of the night just to kiss me. He frowned. Why didn't I think of that earlier? Because I'm older. A whole year makes a difference. He burst into a smile, the kind meant only for me. Inside the convenience store, I bought him a cup of instant noodles. We strolled slowly back to my building. It was nearly 1 a.m. when we said goodnight. Before leaving, Lucas hugged me tight. He looked back 3 times, and every time we locked eyes and smiled. When I got upstairs, I didn't even take off my shoes. I texted, did you get a ride? Lucas, yeah. My heart was overflowing. I wanted to tell him everything. Just now in the elevator, a song popped into my head. Lucas, what is it? I'll listen to it on the way. I guess I'm in love. I sent the link. Let music say what I couldn't. The title sums up how I feel right now. What about you? Do you feel the same? Lucas replied, Lucas, I think the first 2 words are unnecessary. I couldn't sleep. After coming home, the corners of my mouth felt permanently lifted, like I'd had smile surgery. My brain kept replaying every single moment, every line, every detail. Then I realized I forgot something important. I hadn't used mouthwash before seeing Lucas. How did I forget that? But then again, who could have predicted he'd kiss me like that? Like a summer downpour, sudden, unstoppable, leaving me drenched and dazed. One thing I was sure of when I missed him, he must have been missing me too. Because at 3 a.m., he messaged, still awake? Me, already asleep. Lucas didn't take the bait. He replied, video call for a minute? I froze now. Lucas, even 30 seconds is fine. Everything about today had already felt dreamlike, so this request just stirred up my imagination. I teased, you're moving pretty fast. I was sure he was grinning. I just want to confirm something. What? Lucas, that I really met you. That this isn't a dream. I smiled, but I already wiped off my makeup. What if you see a stranger and think this is a nightmare? Lucas, if it's inconvenient, forget it. But I didn't hesitate. I hit the video call button. Not because I wanted to act cool. I was genuinely confident about my bare face. Makeup was for me. If I was serious about someone, being barefaced was a way of showing sincerity. Lucas looked different on camera. His hair was unstyled, fluffy, a bit messy in a charming way. He wore thin-framed glasses that made his face look smaller, like a college kid, or even high school, the kind you could bully. I was surprised. "You wear glasses?" Had he been wearing contacts all along and I didn't notice? Was my eyesight that bad? Lucas blinked. "Huh? Oh, just a little nearsighted. Nothing major. Only for staring at screens at work?" He nodded like a diligent student. "Yeah." I cleared my throat, serious face on. "So calling me counts as work?" No need to explain what work implied. "No." He instantly whipped off his glasses and tossed them aside with a loud clack. I could hear them fly. I cracked up. "Poor glasses. I swear," he said, laughing too. Without the lenses between us, I saw the sparkle in his eyes clearly. Warm, bright, like filtered sunlight. These past few days, my cheeks had been put through rigorous angelic training. We just looked at each other for a while, silently. I said, "Pretty sure we've passed the 1-minute mark. Lucas, let's stay a little longer." His gaze was so steady, it felt like it could reach through the screen and set me on fire. I tucked a loose strand of hair behind my ear, a bit nervous. "You've been confirming for a while now. Don't you want to sleep?" "Lucas, wait a sec. Let me grab something." "Okay. I'll wait." Before getting up, he probably leaned his phone on something. The part of the room that had been hidden by his body was now visible. A bed with light gray sheets, a black wall behind it rare, a desk lamp on the nightstand, and a white hanging ornament shaped like a bird suspended from above. I didn't study it too closely because Lucas quickly returned. He held something white and sleek, about the size of an oversized cassette tape, minimalist design, glass-covered sides. "Got this new Bluetooth speaker a couple days ago. Haven't used it yet." I just smiled. No comment. Was our beloved IT guy Lucas about to demo his latest digital toy in the middle of the night? Especially with that face and that voice, he looked like one of those handsome tech vloggers doing product reviews. He lowered his head, seriously adjusting the settings. At one point he glanced up and grinned. "Stop looking at me like that." "Like what?" He mimicked my expression by drawing a circle around his face, like you're saying, "You're so boring, hurry up already." I pulled my eyes down into a dramatic frown. "Good that you know." "Done." "Almost ready." He smiled as he looked up, gently placing the speaker beside him. Then he reached out, looked like he was using a laptop trackpad. A moment later, music drifted through. A male voice, soft and clear. I quieted down and listened. "Is this Korean?" Lucas nodded with a soft smile. "Yeah. You listen to Korean music?" Lucas said, "I've got a mixed playlist." I tilted my head, letting it play for a while. "It's nice. What's it called?" He looked at me and said gently, "Yibeo." I've seen enough K-dramas to know exactly what that means. And what it means for him to play this song now. I said, "Are you serious?" Lucas said, "Totally." My response carried double meaning. I knew he'd catch both. Then Lucas switched the camera to rear view, showing his laptop screen. Yep, it was a Korean song. I rested my cheek on my hand. I can't read Korean anyway. He shrugged. "There's English in the lyrics too." I feigned cluelessness. "Oh, I didn't notice." After the video ended, I flew to my camera roll to check how I looked. I should have checked before the call. I'd been way too casual tonight. Always a beat late on important stuff. Oh God, who is this red-faced, goofy grinning mess? How did Lucas manage to say such a romantic yibeo with a straight face? I searched his playlist. The song was at the very top. Okay, that means he's never sent it to another girl before. He searched for it. For me, he played it for what was supposed to be a 1-minute video call, with a shiny new Bluetooth speaker he hadn't used until now, all just to say one sweet phrase. I played it again, smiling, reading the translated lyrics. "You're so beautiful when I look at you. My heart goes, oh, 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 even if my eyesight is perfect. I still wear glasses because I want to see you more clearly." What a player. I snorted and tossed my phone aside. Then I picked it up again, scrolling through every chat between us. Finally, I gave up and dropped my phone on my face. "Mom, your daughter's in love. What do I do?" Before bed, we agreed to meet for breakfast at a popular dim sum place near our office district. Always packed, even on weekdays. Lucas said he got a reservation voucher through his co-workers. By 8 a.m., both of us were badly sleep-deprived, but still dressed to impress. Lucas came to pick me up by car. I climbed into the passenger seat and paused, then gave him a side-eye and burst out laughing. "Why are you wearing your glasses again?" He smiled back at me, his eyes twinkling behind the lenses. "Because I need to see." I once read that anyone who can share breakfast with you probably has a special relationship with you. By the second week of knowing Lucas, we had breakfast together 3 days in a row. Sometimes it was at a fancy tea house, other times a hole-in-the-wall diner. If we were too busy to meet during the day, we'd video chat before bed or open Nettie's cloud music and listen together. On Thursday, our team had just launched the new spokesperson campaign for a search app, so I spent the entire day monitoring online feedback. It was almost 10 by the time I finally grabbed a cab home. I barely spoke to Lucas all day. After I showered, I collapsed into bed like I'd just survived a battle. Aching all over, I messaged him, "What you doing?" "Yes," in Cantonese. Because I hadn't been able to flirt with him all day, I had to throw in a little act of cuteness. Lucas sent me a photo. He was gaming. His screen showed muddy terrain, fallen leaves, thick green plants, and a giant spider. I replied, "Okay, you keep playing. We'll talk after you're done." He immediately called me. As soon as I picked up, I was met with his dramatic 5-word protest, each syllable drawn out like a wounded puppy. "I'm not busy, okay?" I rushed to explain. "I didn't mean it like that. I really wasn't trying to interrupt you. I didn't expect you to stop gaming for me, I swear. Don't overthink it." Lucas smiled silently while I stumbled through my explanation. I paused. "Why are you smiling?" As I said it, my own lips curved up. I was lying on my bed. By this point, we'd video chatted so many times, I didn't bother sitting upright or angling the camera for the most flattering view. I just sprawled out, sometimes lying on my side, and occasionally made silly double chin faces to make him laugh. "I don't know," he said. "I just feel like smiling when I see you." I felt the same. Every time we saw each other, we'd both smile like fools. Love really does lower your IQ. I pointed outside the camera frame. "Is it okay your game's just sitting there? Doesn't it pause if you don't move?" I'd played team games with coworkers before. Once a match starts, you can't just walk away. Lucas shook his head. "It lets you save." "Oh," I relaxed. Then I noticed he still had on a big black over-ear headset and asked, "You're still wearing your gaming headset. Can you hear me okay?" He seemed to realize it just then. He reached up and took them off. "Oh, it's not even on." "I was rushing to video call you and forgot to take it off." I couldn't help laughing. "You were in that much of a hurry?" Out of nowhere, Lucas said, "The game I play runs full screen." "Okay. So to check the time, I have to minimize the game and go back to the desktop. And then..." He tilted his head, hand to forehead, acting all dramatic and tormented. Only 2 minutes had passed. I laughed. "You're so disrespectful to your fellow devs. Think about all the work that went into making that game. You're not even into it." He shrugged. "Not like I make games." "Fair." He looked straight at me. "Just stay right here." I stopped moving. I didn't look at him, but I could feel his gaze on me. In a low voice, he asked, "Can I hold you?" Our thoughts must have aligned perfectly. Both our hearts empty, both craving fullness. I wrapped my arms around his waist without hesitation and leaned in. Lucas's breath grew heavier, warm air brushing past my ear. He hugged me back, arms tightening slowly. I wasn't wearing a bra, so I melted into him, heavy and light at the same time, sinking into him. He noticed. "Mia." His hot breath spilled against my temple. He didn't speak, but I heard him swallow. The hunger inside me swelled with it, wild and sharp, wanting to consume him or be devoured. I know I act bold, but I'ma give it all to you. Let you fill this solitude. No self-control. I overdose. The sultry lyrics filled the room like ripples. I had, on impulse, put the song on repeat before the hug. Lucas's lips brushed my forehead, soft and close. His scent, a faint, clean body wash, wrapped around me. His hands radiated heat through my clothes, ironing over my back, making my skin tighten, blood vessels tremble. Softly I said, "Don't you think this song is good for dancing?" Lucas's voice came like a breath. "Want to dance?" I lifted my gaze. "I'm not great at it. I might step on you. Just hold me and sway," he said. Then he led us a few steps forward, back, forward. I was clumsy, stepping on his toes, immediately trying to pull back. He pulled me right back into his arms. My face flushed. "Told you I'd step on you," he said. "It doesn't hurt." I never danced at company parties. My coordination's questionable. I sometimes even marched wrong in college military drills. No way. I really can't. Let me off the hook, okay? I shook my head. Lucas lowered his gaze, lashes casting shadows. His voice was soft, but carried weight. Then stand on my feet. What? I blinked, but it made sense. I stepped onto his shoes, 1 foot at a time. No socks, skin to skin. His feet were cool and firm, pressing into my arches. My heart fluttered like bees. I joked I once saw this time travel K-drama where the leads kiss while dancing like this. It stuck with me. He looked me in the eye. You could try it too. I laughed softly. Weren't we just dancing? Lucas chuckled. A few steps in, I started feeling uneasy. I leaned on him too much. Lost control of my own body. So I hopped off, bare feet touching the floor again. Lucas stopped. What's wrong? I exhaled. I can't keep stepping on you. He looked puzzled. I smirked. What if I hurt your feet and you sue me for lifelong compensation? His gaze darkened, heavy, no longer resting on my face but pressing down. A heated weight. Suddenly, he lifted me off the floor. High. So high, I felt my stomach drop. I gasped, ready to steady myself with my legs, but then he fell backward, with me, onto my bed. Lucas followed me down, heavy, unrestrained, kissing me like he'd held back forever. His kisses were so deep I couldn't breathe. The only sounds left in the room were his rapid breaths and my pounding heart. I clung to his neck. When he finally stopped, breathless, I saw his face glowing red in the backlight, ears pink like lit-up lanterns. I reached up and pinched his earlobe, feeling the heat. We both laughed. I probably looked just as wrecked, blushing, overwhelmed, heart about to burst. Music swelled again. God, I've lost my mind because your lips are honey seed dripping over me. I drink you in like wine, so go on and kiss me nice. Say I'm pure like Edelweiss. Like Edelweiss. I squinted at Lucas's face, haloed in light, soft down fuzz visible. I reached up and touched his cheek. Edelweiss, I murmured. Lucas gave a low laugh and leaned in to kiss me again. It was the kind of night worthy of being etched onto a tombstone, like a poem splashed with glittering gold. Lucas wasn't just the shiny, lovable image I had built in my head. He was both polite and daring, making me feel cherished and conquered at the same time. The high of it sent tremors through my body even after it was over. True satisfaction lingers. It has aftertaste. My legs were still wrapped around his waist, unwilling to let go, completely hooked on that moment. We were both overheated, sticky. In the end, Lucas carried me into the shower. Yes, carried. My request. I clung to his back, tracing his muscles, leaning in to whisper behind his ear. You're so damn lovable. He paused, broad shoulders jerking slightly as he chuckled, totally unbothered by my mushy sneak attack. In the shower, I asked, curious, you sit at a computer all day. Where did all this muscle come from? He replied, I like swimming. I was stunned. You actually swim? Lucas said, yep, whenever I have time. But since I met you, I've slacked off. That snapped me back to attention. I furrowed my brows and recalled our previous conversations. Don't tell me you also bake, cycle, and play basketball? Lucas laughed. I do. So the whole I just game in my free time thing? Pure bait. I grabbed the shower head and sprayed him down. Liar. He darted to the corner, sleek as a cat, then ran his hand back through his wet bangs. Droplets clung to his lashes. The bathroom was misty, and he looked surreal, like someone drawn instead of born. I pinched his arm. He flinched. Ow. Then looked at me, confused. I asked, did that hurt? Lucas nodded. Good. He blinked in pure question mark. I explained, just checking you're not an android. Lucas laughed. AI can't get wet. Maybe your skin's waterproof? He tugged me into his arms, voice teasing, tinged with steam and heat. Good thing I didn't short circuit on the bed. I glared, turning my face to the tiled wall, refusing to look at him. He gently turned my face back and kissed me. Just a peck, then paused to look at me. That gaze, intense glistening, always made me feel like he'd been in love with me for a long, long time. Like he loved me deeply. Back in bed, drowsiness hit fast. Curled in his arms, I dozed off. In a dreamy haze, I felt him kiss my forehead, then my nose. Why did he like kissing me so much? Was my skin made of sugar? I smiled with my eyes closed and mumbled, Little panda. He hummed in reply, I giggled, but didn't say anything. Curious as ever, Lucas asked, "You called me and then said nothing?" I asked casually, "Are we officially dating now?" He replied instantly, "Of course." His natural certainty jolted my brain. My sweet, syrupy thoughts evaporated on the spot. I opened my eyes wide. "Wait, we're already in a relationship?" "Lucas?" "Yep." My eyelids fluttered like crazy. "Since when?" Lucas sat up, facing me like we were in a boardroom. "Want to confirm it now?" "Hold on." I stopped him. "Are you sure?" "Want to think it over?" Lucas frowned slightly. "Think over what?" "We've only known each other for... Has it even been 10 days? I hadn't counted, but I was sure it was less. He said, "It's been exactly a week. Today's the 7th day." As he spoke, his expression gradually shifted into something I couldn't decipher. A complex, translucent gray mask that dimmed his brightness. I didn't even know what I was worried about. Everything had happened so fast. Lucas didn't really know me, and I didn't really know him. I didn't want to lock myself into a committed relationship so quickly. Even if saying it out loud was a mood killer, it was how I genuinely felt. I had to follow my heart, not fool myself into rushing along. But I'd misjudged badly. Lucas clearly believed we'd already moved ahead. After a brief silence, I tried to soften it. "Can we take some more time to get to know each other? Just cool things down and think it through." Lucas stared at me with those dark eyes. "You still need to think?" I paused, then admitted, "I think I might." He said simply, "I don't." With those 4 flat words, he began quietly gathering his clothes, the hoodie he wore earlier, his pants. I watched him get dressed. The warmth in my chest, just recently filled, drained away like cold wind rushing through me. Finally, he said calmly, "I'll head out. Get some rest." I debated stopping him. It was so late. But I knew I'd probably fail. I got out of bed and followed him out. He clearly didn't expect me to come out naked. He looked around quickly for windows, then said, "Go back to your room. It's late. Stay here tonight." He looked at me seriously. "It's not late." I knew what he meant, but I couldn't give him the answer he wanted. After a few seconds, his tone softened but also distanced. "And go back in. Don't catch a cold. I'm leaving." As soon as I sat back down on the bed, I heard the door close. Honestly, it didn't feel like anger. Not loud. Just a quiet, thorough kind of disappointment. Once he left, the room turned cold and hollow, like a fridge way too big for its contents. I sat at the edge of the bed, playing with my fingers, zoning out. I didn't know what I was thinking. I just knew my eyes were hot with pain, like tiny needles, and then quietly cooled again. I spotted the bird-shaped hanging ornament Lucas had left on my desk. I tried to hang it up, stood on tiptoe, but failed. Even with a pillow underfoot, I couldn't reach. I put it back in its box. The next day, near noon during a meeting, I unexpectedly received a message from Lucas. He was still pinned to the top of my chat list. I hadn't even seen the content yet, but my heart gave a jolt, like someone had yanked a pacemaker above it. He sent a casual invite lunch, as if we hadn't had that awkward fallout last night. Maybe he'd gone home and thought it over. Maybe he wanted to compromise, or at least talk face to face. But I had a client lunch. After thinking carefully, I sent back a politely worded decline. I didn't realize then. It would be a turning point. The next few days, I didn't run into Lucas on the subway. We lost all contact. Not a single message. Sometimes I wondered if he'd deleted me, but no. I could still see his moments. Just no new updates. His playlist stopped updating too. I checked it a few times a day. Reflex, really. At a weekend dinner with friends, I casually mentioned all this. Their main concern was, "Did you guys hook up?" I nodded. They shrieked with joy. "Then it's all good. You won." In my sudden emptiness, I smiled. But if it was just once, it kind of feels like a loss. Still, I didn't spiral. I went to work, shopped, sang, drank, played murder mystery games, browsed Weibo, Douban, Taobao. I kept posting. I kept listening to music. I listened to Undercurrent on repeat. Back in college, I couldn't understand Faye Wong. She sounded too abstract. But after this, the lyrics made perfect sense. I fear the tragedy repeating, written in my fate. The more beautiful a thing is, the more I can't touch it. Was Lucas secretly checking on me like I checked on him? Or had his Bluetooth already paired with someone new? His playlists had always been diverse. He'd find another good match. More choices, more fun. That's life. That's love. So I remained hopeful, yet pessimistic. Brave, yet timid. Immersed, yet clear-eyed. Still, I missed it. That wild, romantic, soul-rattling week. Even if life is long, such moments rarely repeat. Just like sunsets. You'll see similar shades of blue and pink, but never the same one twice. On a similar evening, I passed through the long hallway of floor-to-ceiling windows at the office and returned to my desk. The moment I turned on my screen, I received an urgent message from my director. One of our account managers had gone into premature labor and needed to be hospitalized. She couldn't continue her current project. I had just freed up and they asked if I could take over. It was a joint campaign with Green Oasis and a fintech brand. 5 people. Half the team. We'd be working in-house at the client company for a full month. The first few days at Lightlink were spent adjusting to the sheer scale of the place. If our company felt like a potted bonsai, Lightlink was an entire thriving ecosystem. You could call it a commercial hub. It had everything from KFC to Starbucks. But its lush landscaping made it feel more like a park. Each app under the company had its own dedicated building. I'd once imagined running into someone at the cafeteria or in an elevator, but the odds of that happening were probably lower than accidentally connecting to someone's Bluetooth on the subway. Their cafeteria alone spanned over 1,000 square meters. Our team was temporarily stationed in the LifePay building. From above, it looked like a folded silver robotic arm, sleek and futuristic. On my second morning there, I tried walking to the building at a normal pace. It took 20 minutes. Then I remembered how Lucas had appeared in under 10 that night. The memory made my chest tighten a little. I knew he was in this very building, some section, some workstation, but he didn't know I was here too. Honestly, I could have easily come up with an excuse to decline the assignment. But the moment I saw that urgent message, I was swept up in a strange, overwhelming sense of fate. Like a black whirlpool spinning at full speed, sucking me in. Before I could think twice, I typed, "Sure. Send me the PPT and brief." I wanted to see Lucas again, but things didn't go the way I'd hoped. By the 5th busy day, I hadn't even seen a guy who looked remotely like him. I'd asked around casually about which floors the tech teams worked on, but even knowing that didn't help. Our roles barely overlapped. I had no excuse to go up there. Every day at lunch, I'd lift my chin and stare hopefully at everyone getting into the elevator, only to feel my heart drop when none of them were him. Eventually, I lost hope. Why would the universe give a selfish woman like me a second stroke of luck? One afternoon, my coworker suggested grabbing fried chicken for lunch. I was on my period, stomach cramping, and not feeling hungry, so I opted for a hot coffee instead. We split up. There was a Costa on the first floor. While waiting in line, I casually looked around and froze. I saw Lucas. The moment hit me like a fairy horn blaring in my ears, long, loud, and thunderous. The world around me slowed down. The chatter faded. I could hear my own breathing grow shallow, like I was treading water, struggling to stay afloat. It had only been a few days. In those days, I'd kept living as if everything were normal, treating him like a dream that had ended. But seeing him now made me realize I'd bottled up all my longing, waiting for this exact moment. Maybe it was the hormones too. My heart clenched hard and fast. Lucas hadn't noticed me. He was seated almost with his back to me. Of course, I spotted him immediately. He always stood out. His head was slightly tilted, chatting and smiling at someone across the table. He wore a crisp black coat. His hair looked freshly dyed, sleek and shiny. One hand rested on the table, the other casually held a paper cup, his index finger tapping the side. He looked good, calm, like someone completely unfazed. I looked away. By the time I returned with my coffee, the shop was full. I didn't hesitate. A girl had just left the seat diagonally behind Lucas. I walked over and sat down. He still didn't notice me. I sipped my coffee and made a gamble I knew I'd probably lose. I pulled out my Bluetooth earbuds. At the same moment Lucas picked up his phone, I popped in one earbud. Beep. Connected instantly. Lucas froze. He knew. Would he turn around? Look for me? Disconnect? He lowered his head. Didn't move. My heart was pounding. I stared at him. The colleague sitting across from him noticed something was off and leaned in to ask something. Lucas shook his head, set his phone down. He didn't turn around, didn't search, didn't sever the connection, just stayed still, indifferent. like I no longer existed in his world. I took a deep breath, brushed my hair behind my ear. My eyes and nose were burning. I took another sip of coffee, and just as I reached to remove the earbud, a familiar voice whispered in my ear, "Good morning, sugar." I froze. "Want to hear a song?" His voice was like silk wrapped around a knife, slipping into my chest. Every hair on my body stood up. I looked up. Lucas had picked up his phone again but hadn't changed posture. Music started. Strings. Then guitar. I knew the song instantly. Miss Lovers. A massive hit. "I'm sure I said I loved you hundreds of years ago, you just forgot, and I didn't remember." The lyrics pierced me like red, thorned vines growing wildly in my chest. He must have turned the volume up. The cafe faded. The singer's voice rushed into my ears, raw and emotional. Walked by, passed by, never met, turned back, turned around. Still wrong, you and I never knew each other, collided at the corner. Then came the line, "Didn't your mom teach you to say sorry when you bump into someone?" I actually laughed. Maybe from bitterness, or maybe because he was just that brutally honest. Everything was fine today. Then the lovers missed each other again. Yes, everything was fine, until I saw you again. I pressed my hand over my mouth and listened until the very end. When the music stopped, I took out the earbud and messaged him, "I'm sorry." Lucas never replied. Not long after, he and his colleague left. They didn't walk past my side. He probably never even looked at me. Back at my desk, I felt dazed. The coffee grew cold. I stared at my screen, lost. At sunset, I grabbed a cup of water and looked out the window. The sky looked like it had been soaked in orange soda. Not too late, right? Back at my desk, I opened his chat and tapped his profile picture twice. "You patted, little panda." I clenched my phone, then typed, "Is it still working?" No response. For a long time. Just when I was about to give up, a reply came. "The switch is broken." That childish pout made me smile. Even magic switches break? No answer. Then, "How's the little bird?" I replied, "If I keep it in the box, it might not make it. I'll return it tomorrow." I planned to bring it to the office, see him, but he didn't give me that chance. He sent an address. "Just have a courier drop it at the gate." "So afraid I'll show up at your door?" I got angry, said nothing. After work, I went home, grabbed the bird box, and ordered a cab to the address. In the dark, surrounded by neon, I told myself, this is the last time. God may not give selfish girls second chances, but I can give myself courage. One last time. Even if I know there's a tiger in the mountain, I'm going. When I arrived, I didn't look around. Didn't care what kind of place he lived in. I just wanted to see him. The call connected. I asked, "Which floor?" "I'll bring it up." He paused, gave the number, buzzed me in. In the elevator, I ran through every ending. A, B, C, D. Heartbreak, reunion, regret, relief. I could take any of them. My heart rate soared with every floor. Finally, floor 16. The doors opened. There he was, wearing that ridiculous, adorable panda hat, waiting for me. Blank-faced. We locked eyes. He smiled. I smiled too. And just like that, we were alive again. Bitterness and sweetness poured over me like floodwater. My first thought? God damn. My first instinct was to curse. The second was to throw my arms around him. Unfortunately, I was still holding a bulky cardboard box, which got in the way. After turning 25, I rarely felt like crying. But Lucas had flipped some hidden switch inside me, awakening a mess of emotions. And he looked especially fuzzy and cuddly tonight. Half laughing, half crying, I stepped out of the elevator. "You look ridiculous." He stared at me. "So do you?" I lifted my chin. "I'm not the one wearing a panda hat." He brushed the hair from my forehead gently. "Your hair's a mess." The wind got to it. That simple, warm gesture made me want to hug him even more. I handed him the box. "Can you hold this?" He took it with one hand, because it's hard to hug you while I'm holding it. He immediately understood and opened his arms to me. I flung myself into his chest. He wrapped his free arm tightly around my back, like he was trying to lock me in place. He was so warm, so real, it felt like a dream. I whispered, "Little panda." He murmured back, "Mmm." Again, I said, "Little panda." In a soft childlike tone, I teased, dragging it out. Little. Panda. His chuckle vibrated in his chest. Important things deserve to be said 3 times. So do important people. I wanted to say I missed him, wanted to ask if he missed me. But instead, I stepped back, reached for the toggles on his hoodie, those little panda ears, and pressed one. Squeak. The ear twitched. He burst into laughter. His eyes crinkled into half moons. Not broken, I declared. He played along. Oh, it works again? Liar. He smiled at me silently. I told you, the Magic Company switch is top tier. Doesn't break that easily. He nodded solemnly. Brand reputation matters, and you even came to personally inspect it. What can I say? It's my job. Gotta care about customer satisfaction. Just as he was about to say something, the elevator doors opened again. A middle-aged man stepped out, glanced at us, and walked around with a weird look. Lucas said, "Let's go inside. This is getting weird." I tugged his toggle. "Especially since you're still wearing that ridiculous hat." Lucas shot me a helpless look that said, "Whose fault is that?" Then he grabbed my hand and pulled me away. My cheeks hurt from smiling so much. As we walked down the hallway, the motion sensor lights turned on. I stopped. "You don't live with anyone else, right?" I was worried his parents might live with him. Showing up unannounced this late would be so inappropriate. Lucas turned back. "It's just me," he added with a straight face. "There used to be a little bird keeping me company, but someone tricked it away." I gave him a look. "And what's that you're holding?" He chuckled. "At least she has a conscience." I was speechless. As he paused to unlock the door with his fingerprint, I punched him lightly on the shoulder. It wasn't hard, but he let out a dramatic "ow" and rubbed it like he was in pain. "What's the punishment for harming a national treasure?" I yanked off his panda hat. "You're not getting away with this fake innocent act." He didn't resist, nor did he ask for it back. Hair sticking up in all directions, he opened the door and gestured for me to enter. Inside, he handed me a new pair of slippers. He was still wearing his house ones. He hadn't even bothered changing before rushing to meet me. I couldn't help smiling. Then he asked, "About your place," and trailed off. "That time you gave me..." Again, he paused. I raised a brow. "Can you just finish a sentence?" Lucas finally said, "You had men's slippers at home. And condoms in your drawer." I blinked, then nodded. So, he wasn't angry, just honest. I appreciated that. He said, "I know, it's not a big deal, but I guess I was a little jealous." Then he corrected himself. "More than a little." That tugged at something in my chest. "When you told me to grab one from the drawer, He chuckled, like he was telling a bad joke. "I'd already bought some on the way. Why didn't you say anything?" "I don't know," he replied. I was overwhelmed. Didn't want to kill the vibe. "Yeah," I murmured. It was intense. His gaze darkened. He leaned down and kissed me lightly, then pulled away. But desire bloomed in my chest, hot and swift. I pulled him back by the collar. He got the message. One hand on my chin, he leaned in again. Only this time, it wasn't soft. His kiss was hungry, dominant. His hand pressed against the back of my neck, leaving me no room to escape. He tasted like mint, cool, yet scorching hot. His tongue worked against mine so hard it ached. And I loved it. When we finally came up for air, we were both panting. Lucas's face was flushed. His eyes were glassy. His lips glistened. I cupped his cheek. "Don't be mad anymore, okay?" "I wasn't mad after I got home that night," he said. "But I thought you didn't want to see me again." I really did have to meet a client that day. One text. One mistimed message. When pride keeps both people still, no one moves forward. I sighed. "You didn't expect I'd show up at Lightlink, huh?" He laughed. "Not in a million years." I asked, "How did you feel at Costa today? Were you shocked?" He thought for a moment. It felt like being plugged back into power. His answer hit me so hard I wanted to cry and kiss him at the same time. "I took that assignment just to see you again," I confessed. "But your company is ridiculously huge." I was mad. He smiled. "WeChat is small. You didn't message me either. You looked like you were doing fine without me." So he had been watching. I sighed. Social media's fake. I told you. And his radio silence? that wasn't fake? He read my mind. I didn't even know how to fake it. I missed you so much, but I didn't know how to reach out. His voice cracked slightly with frustration. It hit me like a knife, sharp but warm. He smiled helplessly. Mia, you're amazing. I've never felt like this before. He whispered, I missed you so much. I missed you too, I said. We hugged again. For a long, long time. It felt like the whole world had shrunk down to this little patch of rug. Just the two of us. And we never wanted to part again. I stayed the night. But, unfortunately, I was on my period. Lucas had to run out in the middle of the night to buy pads. His living room didn't have a TV. Just a projector on a clean white wall. While I curled up with a mug of hot water watching a movie, he called me from the store. What brand do you use? I smiled. Anything's fine. Then teased. A grown man scanning pads at midnight? You're not afraid the cashier will call the cops? He flipped the camera back to his face. She looked like she was about to fall asleep. God, he was handsome. And cute. Then he panned the camera to the snacks. Want anything? Nope, I said. Just come home quickly, or I'll loot your place. That projector looks pricey. He raised an eyebrow. Do I count as part of the loot? I tapped his screen and laughed. After the call, I couldn't stop thinking about him. He'd only been gone for a few minutes, and I already missed him. I gave up on the movie and scrolled through my phone. Weibo, NetEase. I opened his profile out of habit and saw a new song on his playlist, Overflowing. I clicked it, read the lyrics. My heart exploded. I wanted to scream right there. Couldn't wait for him to come back. I screenshotted it and messaged him. When did you add this? He replied instantly. Just now. I wrote, you sure find songs fast. He said, always ready. When Lucas came back, I went to the door to meet him. After all, he had come all the way to pick me up earlier today. He was as thoughtful as ever. In addition to the pads and snacks, he also brought back my micellar water and a box of cotton pads. I held up one item in each hand. How did you even think of these? Have you dated like 100 girls before? He had just changed into his house slippers and gave me a deeply wronged look. Then he pulled something from his pocket and slapped it on the cabinet. 200. I looked down. It was a box of ibuprofen. I couldn't stop smiling. My grin was practically growing roots. You're really on a roll, huh? I lifted my chin playfully. He leaned in and kissed me. Hard. The serious kind that completely dismantled my carefully constructed poker face. I bit my lip. You went to the pharmacy too? It was right next door. Figured, why not? He put the pills back into the convenience store bag, grabbed the whole bag with one hand, and pulled me toward the sofa with the other. Come sit. He noticed the movie still playing. Didn't like it? I said, with all your calls, songs, and messages, how was I supposed to get into it? He laughed, radiant. Let's rewatch it together later. I glanced at my watch. It's almost 1, Mr. He froze slightly, his expression shifting. Then he stammered, well, what? I grinned. What? What? He stood across the coffee table. What did you just call me? I blinked and pretended I had no idea. Huh? He wasn't fooled. With a smile no one could refuse, he asked, can you say it again? I wrinkled my nose in defeat. Big brother. He paused for a second, then his grin exploded like a short circuit. Jesus. English? Really? I scoffed. So dramatic. Hey. He leaned over, picked up the kettle, and poured hot water into my cup. I'm overwhelmed. As he walked around the coffee table, I said, thanks, big brother. He paused, smiled faintly, and handed me the cup. I took a sip. This water tastes amazing. Poured by my favorite big brother. He looked away briefly, pressed his lips together, then looked down at me. His voice low and layered. Mia, what are you trying to pull? Building your resistance. What? So when a real little sister calls you big brother, you won't react. He chuckled and cupped my face. Not every big brother has the Mia effect. I nodded dramatically but didn't pull away. I see. Then I'll use it sparingly. Overuse will reduce the effect. I shifted to a mock formal tone. Lucas. He actually replied, here. I nearly burst out laughing. My eyes were already curled into crescents. Kiss me. He instantly leaned down and kissed me. Soft and sweet. Still blushing, I added, again. He kissed me again without hesitation. I sighed. Okay, stop. If you keep kissing me like this, I might forget what I even called you in the first place. He pulled me into his lap and kissed my forehead. Then, don't call me anything. Just stay. And so I stayed. Leaning into his chest, I traced the seam of his shirt. You're too good to me, he said without hesitation. Because I like you. I looked up. Like me a lot, huh? Lucas smiled. Can't help it. He said it like it was a fact, and my heart fluttered again. I whispered, be careful. Why? I might get spoiled. He laughed and buried his face in my neck. Too late. Warmth, softness, stillness. It felt like we had all the time in the world. I wished we truly did. I lay beneath the spot where the little bird had once hung. A faint mark still lingered on the ceiling. Lucas was still in the shower. I wore one of his t-shirts, the scent of his laundry detergent lingering. While scrolling through Weibo, I heard the sound of a washing machine from the balcony. He was doing laundry. My clothes were in there. The mental image made me laugh quietly. Then I heard his slippers approaching. I quickly turned on my side, pulled the blanket halfway up, and shut my eyes, pretending to be asleep. Lucas probably thought I'd passed out in seconds. His footsteps softened, then 2 deliberate clicks of a light switch. The bed dipped. He slipped under the covers. He wrapped an arm around me from behind. How was I supposed to breathe normally with that much testosterone next to me? His lips brushed the back of my ear. His warm breath tickled. Then he shifted slightly, pressing his body closer against mine. We fit together perfectly. His chest moved steadily against my back. Warmth trickled down my spine. This was getting dangerous. Then Lucas's hand slipped under my shirt. Goosebumps exploded. His hand moved slowly between fabric and skin, finally coming to rest on my lower abdomen. Super sensitive spot. I couldn't help it. I laughed. My cover was blown. He laughed softly behind me. That laugh said, I knew it. I swung my arm back to swat him. What are you doing? He pulled his hand back and placed it properly outside the blanket. Innocently, he asked, Does your stomach still hurt? Nope. I turned to face him. Up close, I took in his ridiculously high nose bridge, his long lashes, his eyes glowing even in the dark. I touched his cheek. Didn't get a good look at you last time. He looked at me calmly. You even kicked me out. Still holding a grudge, huh? I pinched his nose. You left on your own, okay? Lucas caught my hand, stayed silent, then kissed my fingertips. I heard my own breath hitch in the dark. We were about to kiss, and not gently. It would be desperate, messy, hungry, like animals tangled together. But we couldn't, because of my period. The next morning, we took the subway to work together. After entering the campus, I finally asked, Which floor do you work on in the LifePay building? Lucas didn't answer directly. Didn't you already ask around? I paused. 5th and 6th floors. But I couldn't exactly go, Hey, where does Lucas Shaw work? With his always convincing face, he said, Sure you could. Lots of people have. I scoffed. Ugh, annoying. He laughed. I rolled my eyes. He finally said, 6F. That cursed number that had haunted me for 5 clueless days. I stabbed the button as soon as we entered the elevator. Lucas asked, What about you? I hit 12. He smiled. Oh, turns out, this guy still had tricks up his sleeve. Near noon, he actually showed up on our floor. When I spotted him in our section, clearly looking for someone, my heart raced. Tall and striking, he stood out immediately. He stopped a passing coworker, asked something. They pointed in my direction. Lucas followed their gaze, smiled, and walked straight over. Dear God, was I about to be the subject of an office romance scandal in my first week? My deskmate, a fellow in-house staffer, noticed him too. She craned her neck. Hi, Lucas greeted politely at my desk. Do you have a minute? I looked up and replied with a professional smile. How can I help you? I saw you in the elevator this morning. His eyes sparkled. Are you still single? My deskmate's face lit up like a drama was unfolding. What kind of cheesy rom-com setup was this? I froze. Thank God for my deskmate, who immediately answered yes. Totally single. No boyfriend. Lucas grinned, still looking at me. If you're free, can I take you to lunch? Even though I'd seen that face 100 times, My cheeks flushed. I smiled casually. Sure. Where to? After he left, I sent him a fist emoji. He replied with a smug smiley. I typed, well, now everyone in LifePay knows Lucas Shaw is taking someone from 12F out to lunch. He replied, it was love at first sight. I had to bite back a laugh. My deskmate had already hovered for ages. I typed, childish. He didn't respond right away, then sent me a song. I've imagined too many ways to describe you. I couldn't listen out loud, so I read the lyrics. I've imagined too many ways to describe you, your voice, your scent, your silhouette, all triggered by accidental temptation, because your fragrance still ripples in my mind. I've imagined too many ways to describe you, your voice, your scent, your silhouette. Blame it on that brief moment of clumsy surrender, because I love you recklessly. And the chorus, repeating, I just want you thinking of me, over and over, thinking of me. After getting back together with Lucas, we fell into a honeymoon phase at lightning speed. Whenever we had a free moment, we'd chat on WeChat. Syrupy sweet nonsense all the time. One lunchtime, I didn't feel like going far, so we grabbed a quick meal at KFC. We ordered 2 combo meals. While we were eating, a group of his coworkers passed by, 3 guys and 1 girl. They walked past with their trays, all shooting us teasing glances and tossing out playful jabs. One even called out, "Zess!" After they walked away, I sipped my hot milk and said, "Zess." Lucas, halfway through unwrapping his burger, paused and looked at me with a smile. "So your coworkers really call you that?" I said. He nodded. "Yeah." Every time he looked at me with those clear eyes, I couldn't resist teasing. "Can I call you that too, Zez?" He handed me his burger. "Why?" "Because names with repeated syllables always sound cute and endearing." He raised an eyebrow. "Oh? Then you're meow meow." I laughed. "Not even my parents call me that." He smirked. "Then let me be the first." I giggled, realizing I couldn't win with him. Then I grew curious about something. "Do you still have me saved as Sugar on WeChat?" Lucas nodded. Then he picked up his phone, tapped a few times, and turned the screen to show me. I was thrilled to see that we were both pinned to the top of each other's chat lists. That felt like a happy ending, and an even better beginning. I was Sugar, he was Panda. We were little bundles of happiness. I asked, "When did you pin me to the top?" Instead of answering right away, he asked, "Am I pinned on yours?" I played coy. I can't remember. Maybe. I pulled out my phone and faked checking. "Okay, fine. You're number 1. He smiled. "All right, now we're even." But he didn't ask to see my phone. He looked like he fully believed me. Then he answered my original question. "Day 1. I blinked. "Day 1? The day I added you, I pinned you." I was shocked. "No way." He frowned. "Then when would you believe it?" I thought for a second. "At least after we met in person." He teased. "So confident in your looks, huh, Kiki?" I shot that down fast. "No, it's just that, well, fine. I pinned you after we met. Once someone becomes real, it's easier to be interested. I don't do well with online chatting." He gave me a knowing look. "You really have to work that hard just to compliment someone?" "Fine, you win. I rank my WeChat contacts by attractiveness. Lucas Shaw is number 1. Satisfied?" Lucas grinned. "There's something I've been meaning to tell you." The second time we connected over Bluetooth, I already knew it was you. My eyes widened. "You knew it was me?" "In that subway car, you were the only one who stood up and looked around. Totally gave yourself away. But you never looked back." Then he added, slowly and calmly, "Actually, I saw you get off first, so I followed. If you hadn't gotten off early, I would have ridden all the way to your stop and taken a cab to the office afterward. But maybe I wouldn't have sent the voice message. Because I felt like you weren't ready to meet me yet. Remember when we first added each other on WeChat? I told you. I'd only send a signal when I knew you wanted to get to know me." I recorded that voice message several times. The one you heard was the final version. His words felt like peeling back the layers of a flower. Each layer was sweeter, more fragrant, dizzyingly lovely. It worked though, especially when you froze like you'd been hit with a spell, standing there, stunned. He grinned at the memory. It was ridiculously cute. Even with that compliment, I still felt embarrassed recalling my dazed and shocked expression. I groaned. "Why didn't you just talk to me directly? Why make it so complicated?" maybe I was afraid I'd scare you off, he said after a pause. And also, he added with full honesty, I'd pulled an all-nighter fixing a bug. I wasn't looking my best. I was supposed to have the day off, but they called me in. Okay, I cut in. Excuse me? You could have bags down to your mouth and girls would still give you their numbers. Lucas stayed sincere. I was groggy and cranky, but when your Bluetooth popped up, it was like someone flipped a switch. Then I saw you and realized it was the girl who hijacked my playlist twice. I barely dared to look at you, but I couldn't stop smiling. I sat there grinning the whole ride. Believe it or not, I believed it, because I had felt the same way. I just tried to act cool, restrained, tried to be perfect. But before I could put on a polished mask, he'd already seen my real self. Still, I asked, so, love at first sight? Lucas didn't hesitate. Yeah. He always kept his gaze fixed on my face when he spoke, focused, but never intense. His smiling eyes carried no pressure. After I got to the office, I waited nervously for your friend request. I smiled the whole day just thinking of you. Allow me this cheesy line, Lucas Shaw. My destined Lucas Shaw. He was a bullet straight through my heart, a rose and a gunshot, all in one. I didn't need to defend myself. I didn't want to. Springtime never needed permission to bloom. Why was he so good at stirring people's hearts? So moving, so irresistible, I felt like crying and laughing at the same time. Damn it, my eyes were probably red, because Lucas suddenly looked apologetic and handed me a tissue. I took it, dabbed my eyes, and smiled. Why are you saying this in public? He said, it just hit me, but I didn't mean to make you cry. Then what for? To bring you a little closer. I said, we literally slept holding each other last night. How much closer can we get? He went quiet, lips pressed together, eyes glowing with hope. How could anyone resist that look? Half teasing, half pleading. I tilted my head, cleared my throat, and asked formally, Lucas Shaw. He straightened. Yes? I smiled. Want to be my boyfriend? He grinned and used his favorite wordplay. Be confident. Drop the first 4 words. Lucas Shaw, my boyfriend. I threw a French fry at him. He burst into a grin. We must have looked ridiculously giddy, like 2 people marinating in sugar. That evening, we took the subway home together for the first time. We shared my Bluetooth earbuds. Lucas curated the playlist. Before, I was always on edge during commutes, never relaxed, never closed my eyes. But today, I did. I had a shoulder to lean on. His hand gripped mine tightly. I wasn't afraid anymore. He'd be my eyes. If the wind blew, he'd shield me. Even if the world went dark, I'd still have his warmth and his music. The first 2 songs were in English. I didn't pay attention to the lyrics. The third was in Chinese. I couldn't ignore it. I don't know what words to use to show how sincere I am. You're from the north. Say my southern accent is hard to understand. Why are you standing so far? Come closer, just a little closer. I swear I'm not a player. Please don't shut me down too fast. I want to be your little wild beast that protects you, but in front of you, I only show gentleness. I'll be your knight, burning with my little cosmos. Give you my shoulder. It's your pillow tonight. What kind of angel are you? Why'd you fall to earth? And land right at my door? The autumn wind brought you to me. My lips curved upward, involuntarily. When the male singer crooned, you said this is just a line. But I'm serious. I'm not a kid, I mumbled in response. Exactly. Cut it out. Lucas didn't say anything. He just tightened his grip on my hand. So tight my knuckles ached. And at that moment I thought, damn, he really means it. He wants to hold my hand forever. That evening, instead of going straight home, we got off at a stop halfway, strolled around admiring the night view, and ended up grabbing a late-night snack. By nearly 11, the sidewalk eateries were still buzzing with noise. Mostly couples. What kind of divine elixir is love that it fills people with this endless energy? I couldn't understand it. I handed the menu to Lucas. He skimmed it and said, "Looks good." Then just asked the vendor for 2 cups of hot water. I propped up my chin. Ugh, I've overdosed on carbs today. I'd need days of workouts to burn it off. The guilt was already setting in. Lucas smiled at me but didn't say anything. He was, without question, the main culprit behind my sugar overload. I'm walking home after this, I declared. Gotta digest. He said, great. I live nearby. I tilted my head. Not going to your place tonight. He looked puzzled. I'm still on my period. Would be a waste of a trip. He frowned dramatically. My girlfriend only wants me for sex. Should I be proud or heartbroken? I shot him a look. That's not what I meant. I quickly added, you don't even have any of my stuff at your place. I can't show up to work with a bare face 2 days in a row. Lucas shrugged. We can stop by your place first. I ruffled my hair. You have no idea how much effort it takes for a girl to go out looking decent, do you? Lucas, nope. His blunt honesty made me laugh. I narrowed my eyes. Seriously? You really don't? He doubled down. I truly don't. I smiled sweetly. Oh, he must have noticed how smug I looked and narrowed his eyes. So, what exactly do you think of me? Feigning innocence, I replied. The kind of guy who stops to buy condoms just to pick up a little bird? Lucas turned his head for a second, then looked back at me with a helpless but unashamed expression. I didn't have any at home. What was I supposed to do? The joy in me kept multiplying. See? That's why I say our little panda is so pure. Lucas, with that deceivingly wholesome face, finally caved. Okay, enough. That memory hadn't been great at the time, but looking back, it was like 2 gears finally clicking into place. Now we sat at the same table again, facing each other, laughing nonstop. Lucas switched tactics. Then, how about I come to your place? That little bird still stuck in its box. I twirled my chopsticks. Why not just let it stay in its happy home? But it belongs to you now, he said. Another one of our conversations that seemed light but ran deep. I've lived alone for so long. I've never kept a pet. I'm scared I won't take good care of it. Lucas responded gently. Just look at it. Pet it a little every day. That's enough? I smiled. That simple? He nodded. I began to stare at him, motionless, even my eyes frozen. I locked him in the window of my heart. Is this how you do it? I wondered. Lucas stared back. The wind seemed to stop. The city noise faded. Night thickened. Finally, my professional edge in social interaction won me the staring contest. Lucas was the first to break, smiling as he lowered his eyes. His lashes were soft, and his bangs fell neatly. He looked irresistibly touchable. So, I couldn't wait. Forget walking. I took a cab back to his place. As soon as we got inside, I jumped into his arms for a kiss. He quickly flipped the script, pinning me against the door. He was intense. His breath was rough, mine shallow. I closed my eyes and ruffled his hair like I was soothing a wild lion. I wanted him to devour me. Right now, no hesitation, no holding back, no rules. I wanted to make love to Lucas Shaw. We restrained ourselves all the way from his turf to mine. Standing by my bed, he raised his arms and hung the little white bird, once his, now mine, on my wall. And I felt a pang from that long, empty night we'd spent apart. Sue, the ultimate word girls use to describe a dangerously attractive man. In that moment, Lucas embodied it. This tall, clean, dependable guy had captured me, and I'd captured him. That yearning for closeness left no room for hesitation. I climbed onto the bed and hugged him from behind. We were two grown-ups standing clumsily on a bed. It should have looked absurd, but it didn't. It felt natural, like we were two carefree kids acting on instinct. He laughed quietly, maybe a bit flustered, and lowered his hands to gently rub my arm through my sleeve. What is it? He asked, smug. Did my looks knock you out? I was speechless. How did he guess? I admitted, yeah. How'd you get this good looking? Just looking isn't enough. I have to touch. My hand slid down. Lucas's breath caught above me. His body tensed. My heart was racing. It felt like the first time. He sat down. I watched as his composure unraveled, tense, flushed, totally at my mercy. And in that control, I found satisfaction. Doubled. Before bed, I showered first, then Lucas. While waiting, I got bored and turned on my Bluetooth speaker, letting soft music drift through the room. I even dug out an old pillow, fluffed it up and dressed it for his head. When Lucas returned, he paused at the doorway, quietly listening as he towel-dried his wet hair. Framed in the doorway, he looked like a scene from a movie. The music felt like it was playing just for his entrance. After the lights were out, that newly prepared pillow never got used. Lucas inched closer and closer, eventually squeezing onto mine, forcing me to scoot over. In the cozy darkness, we looked at each other like we were breathing light. When I smiled, he smiled. When I made a face, he smiled. When I puckered up, he kissed me. Softly, I said, "Lucas." He hummed in reply. Joy bubbled up in me. I felt so lucky. I liked him so much I was jealous of myself. Still in disbelief, I asked, "How did I even connect to your phone that first time?" He said, "No idea. I just pulled out my phone to check the time. Then your request popped up. I just accepted." "You just accepted?" "Yeah," he said. "I've taken the subway for years. Never had that happen. Saw the name of your earbuds, figured you were a girl. So I thought, why not let her hear my music? I can't believe you weren't freaked out." I was, a little. But your songs were familiar. They felt like mine, like they belonged. So I kept listening. "Do you remember the first song?" He said, "Not really." I sighed. "Oh, okay." Because I remembered. That moment had been magic. The music started. My mind cleared. The tired, numb faces vanished. The crowd melted. The subway stopped feeling cramped. The music flooded in like golden honey, and I felt like I was dancing with whoever was playing it. Lucas couldn't hold it anymore. He laughed and pulled me into his arms. All right, I remember. How could I not? Your earbuds had such a sweet name. I picked a sweet song. He had been teasing me. I grabbed his face. Then, what was it? He grinned and replied without hesitation, "Sweet talk." Lucas Shaw. To quote Wang Xiaobo, "Just thinking of you makes me smile." Of course, I'm not ugly, but ever since I met Lucas, that smile seems permanently carved into my expression. In my second week at Lightlink, it was already a given to both our coworkers that we were a lightning speed couple, always arriving and leaving together. He would often make the grueling trip up to the 12th floor to ask me out, or deliver lunch right to my desk. Whenever he appeared from afar and I didn't notice, a colleague nearby would nudge me and say, "Mia, your little boyfriend's here." Little boyfriend. Just because of his youthful baby face, his fair complexion, and his eternal college boy outfits. Plus that refreshing smile. He always looked like the definition of vitality. For the record, he's only 1 year younger than me, okay? I'd repeat this to myself every single time. That glasses-wearing coworker who once called him Zez joined us for lunch once and teased Lucas about his efficiency. I smiled sweetly and lobbed a deadly question. Has he always been this efficient? The glasses guy, slick but honest, replied, "Can't say for before, but ever since he joined LifePay, I've never seen him chase after a girl." You're the first. Chase. I wondered how Lucas had spun our story to his friends. I asked, "Seriously?" Glasses guy gave Lucas a look. Lucas, unfazed, calmly sliced his steak. "You see that?" Glasses guy said, pointing. "He's got a knife." Lucas instantly dropped his utensils and mimed throwing a dinner roll at him. His friend ducked to dodge. I laughed. Looking like Lucas, how could he not be efficient? The guy face-palmed. "Why did I even agree to join you for lunch?" Lucas, with all the cool confidence of a top student and a hidden streak of mischief, lazily said, "Then you're paying for your own meal." "Boss, bro, Zez." His coworker pleaded, "Have mercy. Who pays for their own torment?" Around 8 p.m. after work, his colleagues invited us to karaoke. I called a few of my friends too. Everyone had a blast. Glasses guy looked at us with his mouth twitching. If it weren't for you two, I'd never realize how many duet love songs exist. Thanks for the eye-opener. The whole group laughed and collapsed into the couch. Lucas might have had a playboy's good looks, but he didn't smoke or drink. I, on the other hand, downed cocktails like throat lozenges, one after another. I lost count. Luckily, I held my liquor well. On the way back, I was just tipsy, not wasted. Still fully functional. Okay, fine. I was high. I skipped over sidewalk tiles like a kid playing hopscotch, absolutely delighted. Lucas followed behind me, leisurely. The third time I turned around to tease him for lagging behind, he suddenly rushed up and lifted me from behind. "Ah!" I shrieked. Legs off the ground, too lazy to resist. "Put me down." He obediently set me down, then immediately wrapped me up in his arms. I leaned against him, and he rested his chin on my shoulder. This guy was heavy. Walking like this was awkward. I even stepped on his white sneakers once. Guiltily, I said, "Let go." He denied me flatly. "No." "Well then." To avoid stepping on him again, I treated it like a three-legged race and started calling the beat. Left, right, left, right. Lucas matched my pace, so we waddled along, locked together like two penguins under some strange spell. He wrapped around me, I leaned into him, and we clumsily shuffled to the elevator. Thankfully, it was late. No passers-by to witness our ridiculous PDA. Kissing the moment we got home had become a daily ritual. Sometimes it was just a sweet peck, sometimes we couldn't stop. Tonight, Lucas seemed especially eager. He carried me straight to the bedroom. His hands were a bit cold, which gave me goosebumps and made me laugh. He laughed above me. "What's so funny?" I shook my head in my hair. I don't know, I was just happy. Because he was here, right in front of me. I loved everything about his touch, his fingers, his lips. Our breathing quickened. I wrapped my arms and legs around him, trying not to be too loud. The elderly couple next door probably didn't appreciate noise. And just like that, I moved in with Lucas Shaw. It happened as naturally as breathing or eating. He gave up his spacious, sunlit 3-bedroom apartment just to squeeze into my tiny box of a home. His stuff filled every corner, marking his presence everywhere. He claimed he was worried I wouldn't take good care of his little bird. He said that while sitting casually at the end of the bed. I kicked him in the knee. Lucas wouldn't let that slide. He grabbed my leg, dragged me closer, and leaned in. What Lucas gave me was thrilling. He looked all clean and innocent, but deep down he was dark, explosive. I felt like I was being fiercely, passionately loved. That night, we signed our unofficial cohabitation pact. I curled up beside him, traced the dip in his collarbone with my finger, and said, "All right, I'll take you in, especially since you're such a diligent taxpayer." He burst into laughter and pounced on me like a mischievous dog. Every night, while brushing our teeth together, I'd stare at him in the mirror until he looked back. I'd bare my teeth. He'd bare his teeth. Even with mouths full of foam, we'd still sneak a kiss. Being in love. How could it feel this good? I asked myself a million times. Lucas Shaw was a song. Roses and sunflowers. Romantic and radiant. Spring bloomed everywhere he went, and I bloomed with him. I became clingy, selfish, jealous, hopeless, afraid of hot oil, unable to open bottles, tired of holding umbrellas, a terminal case of bone softening and skin hunger. I needed him to hold me all the time. I bent over backward to prove how much I needed Lucas Shaw. I wanted him to stay forever. The day before my in-house stint ended, I snuck out during lunch, went to the mall, and bought him a full men's skincare set. His travel-size bottles were almost empty. Back home, I lined the toner, lotion, moisturizer, and cleanser neatly on the bathroom counter. I pretended to be engrossed in my drama and didn't join him to wash up, waiting for him to notice. Sure enough, minutes later, I heard him call, "Mia." I didn't respond. "Mia?" His voice was louder now. Grinning, I paused the show. "What?" "Come here." I slipped out of bed, slid into my slippers, and strolled over like I wasn't expecting it at all. Yes, I love putting on a show, but clearly my boyfriend loved it too. He was already waiting at the door. The moment I stepped in, he grabbed my elbow, pulled me to the sink, and held my shoulders to face the mirror. "You bought this?" he asked, smiling in the reflection. I nodded. "Yeah." "You were running out." Lucas turned me toward him. His smile lit up the cramped space. "I didn't even notice," he said. "I'm so spoiled." I felt spoiled too. Because he said he felt spoiled. My joy doubled. I struck a serious tone. "I'm going back to my office tomorrow. I won't be able to see or supervise my hot boyfriend all day. I might spiral. So I bought these. You can't leave me until you finish using them." Lucas raised an eyebrow. "Oh? Then I'll use them sparingly." I shot him a look. 3 months minimum. "Only 3? Lucas teased. He pulled me into a playful hold, chin resting on my head. "Why don't you just buy them for me forever?" Mission accomplished. I grinned like a villain. "But this set was expensive." "I'll reimburse you," he said. I raised my brows. "Then maybe I'll consider it." The next day, we parted at the subway, heading back to our respective companies. Near noon, I checked my feed and saw that Lucas had posted a photo. He'd brought the lotion to his office and placed it under his monitor, captioned, "Wishing bottle." The image looked totally out of place. But to me, it was warm and sweet. Because being in love is a game for two fools. No one else needs to understand. His coworker glasses guy commented, "What the hell is this?" Lucas replied, "Skincare from my girlfriend." "Guy, are you okay?" I stifled my laughter, saved the post, and messaged him, trying to kill me with laughter. Lucas replied seriously, "It's the best I could think of." Lucas, might as well not use it. Just leave it at work. That way, it'll never run out. I asked, "What did you wish for?" That dummy was still clever. He said, "Same thing you wished for." I held my cheeks and laughed out loud. Then that syrupy song echoed in my head. "You give me those butterflies, wish I could keep them in a jar so I could take you with me no matter where you are. Oh, my love, my love, my love will never go to waste." Lucas Shaw, Roses and Sunflowers, romantic and radiant, blooming all throughout my world. By the second month of living together, my job officially entered the end-of-year hell phase. Starting in July and August, our team began receiving waves of campaign briefs for Singles Day from major brands. There were so many that I mentally cursed in Cian, but what could I do? After breaking down, I had no choice but to smile and carry on. Overtime hours grew significantly. My time with Lucas dwindled. Every evening at 7 p.m., I told him not to wait for me, not at the office, not at the subway station, because I never knew what time I'd be home. Yet no matter how late I returned, he was always up, at the door, on the couch, or in front of the computer. Hugging him and venting became my daily routine. During the day, I strutted in heels like a sharp, elegant weapon at work. But at night, I became a tiny steam train burning the last drops of diesel, head hanging low, huffing and puffing out little whimpers. This went on for a while. Lucas always listened, always comforted me. But that day, he suggested gently, "If it's always this exhausting, have you thought about switching jobs?" I instinctively sat up and snapped. "So if I'm tired, I change jobs? If I feel off in a relationship, do I just change boyfriends too?" He hadn't expected that. He went silent. Seeing his quiet expression, I slid off his lap and went to wash up. I knew I had overreacted. My nose stung the moment I turned away, the stress and frustration I brought home from work. I dumped it all on my emotional charger, my little panda. He didn't deserve that. What must he think of me? I shut the bathroom door and sat on the toilet for a long time. After reflecting, I pulled out my phone and opened our pinned WeChat chat. The moment I tapped in, my heart skipped. He was typing. He was going to send me a message. Maybe he noticed I had entered the chat because he stopped typing, and a video call popped up. I answered without hesitation. We stared at each other. His camera angle was slightly from above, a notoriously unflattering angle. But somehow, he still looked flawless. He seemed to be scanning my surroundings. "Are you constipated?" I glanced at my own reflection and smiled. No, I knew I had stayed too long in the bathroom, escaping, overthinking. "If you don't come out soon, I'm breaking the door down." His tone was mock threatening. I laughed through my nose and looked around. Just a blank white wall behind him. I couldn't tell where he was. "I'm in timeout," I said. He frowned slightly. "Timeout for what?" "For being mean earlier." And walking off, I inhaled slowly. It just hit me. Lately, I feel like I've become like my job. Something I love, something that runs fine most of the time, but sometimes turns into a burden. And I'm afraid you'll start seeing me the same way. Lucas was quiet for 2 seconds. "Why would you think that?" "Vulnerability makes us fragile." I shook my head. "I don't know, maybe because I'm not someone who switches jobs easily. Even if it's hard, it's temporary. You get through it. I've done this for 3 years. The first 2, I was alone. This year, I have you. You've stayed the same, calm, steady, but I've had to shift into this other mode. Stressed, busy, irritable. I can't be cheerful all the time, and I'm scared you'll feel neglected. So when you said that today, I took it the wrong way. I shouldn't have." Lucas said, "You're the one treating me like work." I felt wronged. When have I ever treated you like work? I'm not your colleague or your boss. Why does it matter if you bring your emotions to me? I bit my lip. My heart softened. "But ever since we moved in together, you've never once taken anything out on me." Lucas replied, "Is love a transaction? Cry for a cry, smile for a smile, keeping score? Isn't that exhausting? I just don't want you to feel tired, waiting for me, listening to me vent. And Singles Day isn't even over. There's 12.12 right after. It never ends." Hard to believe we hadn't even passed the honeymoon phase, yet reality was already grinding my dopamine to dust. "You're the one tiring me out." He sighed with a touch of mischief. "Still hiding in there?" What, is the toilet more comfortable than me? I laughed. Okay, I'm coming out. I hung up and walked out. He was right outside the door, one hand holding his phone, looking down at me with a smile hovering on his lips. I shot him a look. He yanked me into his arms. I wrapped my arms around his waist and hugged him tight. I could smell the faintest scent on him. Warm, citrusy, like a beach in the late afternoon sun. I burrowed into it, unwilling to let go. I whispered, "You should find something to do. I go to work every day. I mean after work. I don't want you waiting for me like some loyal puppy." He mimicked my tone. What kind of super puppy can game and wait for his wife at the same time? That unfamiliar word stopped me, but I didn't correct him. I didn't even react. Secretly, I was overjoyed. I grinned. "You're the one and only Lucas Shaw puppy," he replied with a neutral. Oh, but I knew he was smiling. I kept teasing, "Even if you say it's fine, I still feel guilty. Like crap. I was so busy today I didn't have time to make my boyfriend happy." Lucas let out a soft laugh, like a spark above my head. "I'm happy now." "Thank you." I smiled too, equally happy. We were back to being two joyful goofballs, perfectly in sync. Lucas looked into my face as if his heart had eyes. He cupped my cheeks and refused to let me hide my smile in the shadows. "Still that feeling?" he asked. I met his eyes. "What feeling?" He said. "The right one." I nodded. "Always has been." "Okay," he said softly. "I feel better now." After showering, I lay on his chest in bed, scrolling through my phone. Once I finished replying to work messages, I flipped my phone face down. I remembered, back in the bathroom, I saw that he had been typing something. "What were you going to say earlier?" I asked. "You were typing for a while." He didn't even hesitate. "I was going to ask how much longer you'd be in the bathroom. I already don't get to see you much lately." I squinted. "Really? Why else would I video call you?" he asked. I tossed the phone aside, sat up, and looked at him. "Then look at me now. I won't do anything, just let you look." He leaned against a pillow, relaxed but focused. His eyes locked onto me with full attention. Being looked at like that was intense. I turned my head. He laughed and relaxed again. "I also happened to open our chat just then," I said. "I saw." He replied. "What were you going to say?" I wanted to say, honestly, I didn't know at the time. I had opened the chat out of guilt and the need to reconcile. No clear idea how to begin. But when I saw he was already there, concerned, waiting, that moment said everything. Now, though, I knew what I wanted to say. "After this year-end madness, let's take a trip," I said. "Just us, no work, my treat. Where do you want to go?" he asked. "Where do you want to go?" We said it at the same time, in perfect harmony. He picked up his phone. "It's almost 1. Let's each pick a song in the next few minutes. At exactly 1 o'clock, we send them to each other. Let the songs decide." I scooted half a meter away to prevent peeking and scrolled through my playlist. Songs with place names, with scenic vibes. I stopped on one. "I've got mine," I said. He raised an eyebrow. "Same." We counted down, 3, 2, 1, and hit send. The same song. Sent. At the same time. In the same chat window. From 2 people. "Want to go to the beach? Help. What were the odds?" He's magic. I was stunned. "You didn't think of anything else?" He tilted his phone toward me, smug. "Because I was looking at your playlist. Who goes to the beach in the dead of winter?" Apparently, we do. But it wasn't just a whim. Escaping the concrete jungle wasn't impulsive. It was a romantic pilgrimage. We had pre-booked a Seaview apartment in a quiet fishing village. Thanks to the off-season, the price was nearly half the usual rate. The owner greeted us with a friendly smile. The room was spacious and well-equipped, and when we opened the curtains, a vast ocean unfolded before us. In winter, the sea at Yangji Island had an elegant tone, a misty, filtered shade of blue that even photo editing apps struggle to replicate. Pale sand stretched out below, and distant black mountains framed the horizon. Lucas was adjusting the floor heating and the air conditioning behind me. I turned around and cheekily asked, "Mind if I crack the window for some air?" He paused and looked over. "Go ahead." He hadn't even taken off his knit hat yet. His bangs were pressed to his forehead, making him look young and adorably obedient. I opened the window, letting the sea breeze rush in and brush across my face. The wind here seemed dipped in icy blue. You couldn't see it, but you could smell it. Lucas came up beside me, wrapped his arms around me from behind and asked, "Is this the kind of beach you wanted to see?" "It is," I said, leaning all my weight into his chest. "Too bad we can't swim," he said. "It's beautiful enough just to look at. Let's take a walk along the coast this afternoon," he offered. I nodded and closed the window. By the time we finished unpacking, it was already 1:30 p.m. We had a simple lunch in the apartment. The landlady's cooking was excellent. Lucas practically licked his plate clean, showering her with compliments. He had a way of making everyone feel at ease. Even the previously shy landlady beamed, saying, "Told you picking this place was the right call." We'd driven here starting at 6 a.m., so instead of heading out right away, we took a nap to recharge. Our hardworking driver Lucas passed out the moment he hit the bed. He hadn't even shaved. I hugged him and kissed his chin. Once wasn't enough. I kissed him again. Even though it was just a light touch, it woke him up. He kept his eyes closed, smiled lazily, and made a little mooing sound like a baby calf. Then, as punishment, he pulled me in for a deep kiss. Maybe it was the new setting, but the kiss escalated quickly. We couldn't get enough of each other. Wet, hot, breathless. Before we knew it, we were tangled together under the covers, skin to skin. As his movements deepened, I gasped, "Maybe we should just sleep." But honestly, I said it too late. We woke again around 4 p.m., only in time to catch the sunset over the ocean. Before heading out, Lucas pulled a big wool scarf from the suitcase, his own, and wrapped it around me from head to neck until I looked like a bundled up grandma. "I'm supposed to take tourist photos, you know," I protested. He smiled. "Your beautiful face is still showing." Up close, the sea felt more peaceful than ever, like layers of soft silk. The setting sun turned the horizon into gentle hues of orange and gold. Fishing boats bobbed in the distance. Grass rustled in the wind. It felt like stepping into a painting. The wind was strong. Lucas's black hair blew wildly. The sand looked soft and fine. I wanted to take off my shoes and walk barefoot. There were black pebbles scattered around. Lucas bent down, picked one up, and casually skipped it across the water. Then he turned to the sea and shouted, "Wow!" His childish delight made me laugh. Some nearby tourists glanced our way. Lucas didn't notice. He just turned back to smile at me. It was freezing. Lucas gripped my hand and led me toward the lifeguard tower. The higher we climbed, the fewer people we saw. Every now and then, he turned to check on me. "Now you know why I wrapped you up like that," he said. His nose was red from the cold. I poked it through my glove. "You're not doing much better." "True. I'm freezing to death," he said, pulling me into his arms. I clung to him for warmth and mumbled, "Maybe we should have gone to Hainan. At least it's warm there." Lucas replied, "But the sea there wouldn't belong just to the two of us." At the top of the tower, we took some pictures, landscapes, selfies. The light was perfect, not too harsh, not too dim. As the sun sank into the sea, we started walking back. I spent the whole way down picking the best photos. Lucas made me realize that even the brutal front camera on an iPhone couldn't ruin his face, not even when he pulled funny faces. Can you believe that? After dinner, we wandered aimlessly through the fishing village. There were more people now than in the afternoon, mostly young couples, a mix of tourists and locals. Lucas and I stopped in front of a small bar that seemed lively. The music spilled out like invisible hands pulling us in. It was a beer bar with a modest interior, but every seat was taken. The crowd was clearly here for the music. A girl was on stage, strumming a guitar and singing with a slightly raspy tone. Reminded me of Joanna Wang. A few guys stood nearby, singing along. When her song ended, we all applauded. The guys cheered the loudest. She stepped off stage, and a young man took her place. He adjusted the mic and guitar, smiled shyly, and said, "I'm not as good as the pretty lady before me." Then he shot a look toward his friends at a booth. Laughter erupted. His buddies cheered wildly, lifting their drinks, whistling like mad. The bartender slid over our drinks. Lucas asked curiously, "What's going on?" "First time here?" the bartender asked. Lucas nodded. The bartender tilted his chin toward the stage. "We don't have a house singer. It's all open mic. Guests can volunteer. Everyone you've seen so far was just a customer." I sipped my drink. "Your boss is smart." The bartender grinned. "You bet." Lucas glanced around, then turned to me, his eyes sparkling. "Can I try?" I blinked. You want to go up there? He nodded. Yeah. I smiled. Then go. Why stop him? Music is like sunlight, beautiful and democratic. Anyone can be the preacher. Anyone can be the follower. The bartender said, better hurry. No one's in line right now. Lucas handed me his white coat for safekeeping and headed off. Standing at the stage edge, he kept glancing back at me. I clenched my fists, silently cheering him on. The guy before him sang 2 songs, not the most polished, but full of energy. And he picked crowd pleasers. That high carried right into Lucas's turn. Wearing a black turtleneck, he looked sharp and confident. He bowed his head, fiddled with the guitar to tune it, then strummed a bright, bouncy rhythm. It made you want to tap your feet. He can play too? Just how many talents does this guy have? I stared in awe. Lucas gave me a shy but confident smile. He repeated the intro and began to sing, all the oceans and the seas know the sound of your beautiful voice, and if you tell them to be calm and be still, they have no other choice. His voice was clear, his face striking, his smile warm. The men in the room were cheering louder than the women. More people turned their heads, clapping to the rhythm. But Lucas's gaze drifted only briefly across the crowd before returning to me. I can't imagine life without you, beautiful you. I can't imagine being alone, beautiful you. The only thing I ever want to do, beautiful you, is have you hold me in your arms. That beautiful voice, beautiful you. Was he singing to himself? I flicked on my phone flashlight and waved it like a glow stick, determined to be his most enthusiastic groupie. Every ocean, every sea, every morning's a symphony. Every drop of rain, every waterfall. All the stars in the sky are so beautiful. Every breath I breathe, every beat of my heart, I feel so alive because of who you are. The bartender leaned over and teased, you two look like you're on your honeymoon. Out of nowhere, I thought of that scene in Before Sunrise, when someone asked what brought Celine and Jesse to Vienna. So I smiled and said, that's right, we're on our honeymoon. The bartender looked surprised. I grinned. What, is that not allowed? When Lucas came down, he jogged straight to me. I was about to hop off the bar stool to hug him, but he pressed me back into my seat and leaned in to hug me tightly. We held each other for ages. He was breathing by my ear, a little fast, with an unmistakable smile in his voice. Once he sat down, the bartender placed a fresh drink in front of him. Congrats on the wedding. Lucas froze and looked at me, confused. I leaned in and whispered, what's wrong with scamming a free drink? He caught on instantly and laughed, shoulders shaking. No problem. We're just rehearsing early anyway. The next morning, before sunrise, we jogged to the top of the lookout tower, panting and breathless as we waited for the first light. The sunrise at Yangji Island was a rose-tinted dream. From a distance, it looked like a fairy tale garden at the edge of the world. I hummed the tune of L'Avion Rose, leaning over the railing to soak in the sea breeze and morning glow. I could feel Lucas watching me. He often watched me like that, as if I were his view. I turned to him. Show some respect for Mother Nature, will you? He tucked a loose strand of hair behind my ear and said casually, you're more beautiful than the sunrise. I said, but this moment's sunrise only happens once in a lifetime. He said, so does this version of you. Lucas's eyes were bright and sincere, like a magic mirror. In them, I could be Snow White or the evil queen, but always the fairest of them all. After being reflected in eyes like that, who would ever want to go back to being ordinary? So I blurted out a rather childish question, Lucas. Yeah? Do you love me? His eyes showed slight surprise, as if he didn't expect me to ask something like that. He answered, of course. I raised the stakes. Will you always love me? He asked, what's your definition of always? I shook my head. I don't know. What is always, really? The sum of every day before love fades? Or true forever, where only death parts us? I laughed and almost cried. Because of the moment, the setting, the man beside me, and the painful realization that someday, inevitably, I might lose him. Every love story ends with goodbye. Lucas noticed my red eyes. He panicked and quickly said, I shouldn't have asked it like that. Then he corrected himself. I'll always love you. His expression, his tone, dead serious. I loved how his emotions always followed mine. That was when I felt most certain I was truly loved. I stared at him. I once read somewhere that love isn't a constant flow. It's made up of little moments that resonate. Lucas asked, is that how you see love? I thought for a moment and nodded. He smiled. A puff of white breath melted into the wind. Then, I must be more idealistic. Oh, I said, what's your take? Lucas said, love is a superstitious belief in perfect timing. I laughed. That's a lyric, isn't it? It is. Your view is even more abstract than mine, I teased. Love is abstract, he said, until you meet someone who makes it real. Then he looked at me. Mia, don't you feel it? Feel what? I asked. That we're meant to be. If I didn't love you, I'd be defying the universe. He spoke as if our love were a sacred spell, or a prophecy meant to last a lifetime. I smiled. But fate doesn't demand loyalty. People change. Some spend half their lives as atheists, only to etch scriptures onto their gravestones. Lucas didn't respond. He pursed his lips slightly, deep in thought. I turned my gaze back toward the sea. The sun finally pierced the pale surface, like an egg yolk breaking free. The sky brightened. Down on the shore, more people had arrived. 2 kids were chasing each other, kicking up sand like snow. As we walked down the tower together, Lucas finally spoke. Have you ever thought about something? What? I asked. Marrying Lucas Shaw. I blinked, a bit stunned. You're not about to pull out a ring, are you? He chuckled. No, just curious. I answered honestly, I haven't thought about it. Not seriously. Last night was just a joke. Marriage still feels too far off. I don't want to define or lock down our relationship too soon, like we're loving each other for a specific goal. While I said this, I watched him closely, turning his question into a test of my own. I never cared much for marriage, but that didn't mean I didn't want to be the only one in his heart. Lucas gave a different answer, but one that delighted me. I thought about it. On the way back from our second meeting, our second? I asked. You mean the first time I thought we met? The coffee shop? He nodded. Seriously? I was shocked. His bangs blew messily in the wind, and his smile was dazzling as always. I imagined so many scenes of us together, like a montage. Like the final scene of La La Land? You mean, you imagined a whole life with me? Something like that, he said. I was staring out the window, my brain buzzing. Then I saw a bookstore and got off early, and bought that book, I said. Yep. I thought, now we'll have more to talk about. I'm a genius. How could he be so cute? Why did I keep asking dumb questions, begging for vague promises, always trying to get him to declare how long he'd love me? He already showed me. I laughed. So did you read it? Lucas turned to me. I did. You finished it? Yep. Wow, you really read it. I held my forehead in mock guilt. And I didn't even play grounded. He looked at me with lazy eyes, totally unfazed. It's fine. That game has giant spiders. Total nightmare fuel, I said softly. Are you disappointed that I haven't thought about marriage? Just like how I said we weren't really dating that one night? Lucas said firmly, not at all. Be honest, I challenged. I am. And I believed him instantly. No doubts. On the drive back to Yi City, the ocean stretched on either side, rooftops stacked in rainbow layers. It felt like driving through a film. Lucas had one song on repeat, With Love. He said it was his answer, his definition of always. I glanced at the lyrics scrolling on the screen and laughed. You searched all night for this song, didn't you? He raised his eyebrows in mock surprise. How'd you know? I waited until you were asleep. Telepathy, I said. At a red light, he turned to me, cleared his throat. Ahem. Question. I straightened up like an interviewer. Ask away. Have you seen the Before trilogy? I saw the first one, I replied. Do you think they met again 6 months later? I'd read the spoilers. But I played along. Probably not. Romance films love missed connections. He said, they didn't. They reunited 9 years later. In the second film, whoa. I faked shock. That long? Then what? Third film, 9 years after that. They have twin daughters. I smiled. I didn't expect that. I thought the first film was the most beautiful, the parting, the promise. Lucas looked at me, his eyes deep. But people who've been apart understand how to cherish better. I didn't answer. I knew what he meant. Mia? He said suddenly, as the light turned green. His eyes sparkled like a boy's, eager, nervous, sincere. When we get back, will you watch the third movie with me? Of course. I said with a smile. The music flooded the car. I didn't hesitate. Not even for a second. Do I ever dare to love again? Monogamy cutting deep in my mind. Stress on my chest. Our checkmates are slowly sly to him. Confide to him. Girl, I'm talking about you. Put 2 and 2 together, that's forever with you. Do the math. Don't laugh and count it. The solution is our future. We are nothing without it. I said, do the math, hold my hand and count it. The solution is our future. We are nothing without. Be about it. Love, so easy but so hard, but I'll take my time and show you you're that girl for me. Babe, true love can't ever be explained, but I'd like to show you with my heart and soul for you. Babe, these days some people just can't last, but I promise that I'll try my best to make it forever. Others don't really understand, cause their doubt is what I know, that me and you will stay together. With love, that's all we really need. Relationships can't work at all without it. With love, we can do anything. Believe me, girl, there's nothing else without it. If this chapter moved you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Nova Media. Thanks for listening.